The golden hour settles softly over the vast expanse of the African acacia savanna. Across the rolling plains of dry, sun-bleached grasses, the late afternoon heat begins to yield to a gentle, cooling spring breeze. High above the umbrella thorn trees, a towering mother giraffe stands completely still against the amber horizon. She is nearly finished with a quiet, miraculous labor, her long legs braced steadily against the earth. With a final, gentle shift, a new life begins its journey into the world. The newborn calf descends through the warm air, dropping nearly 2 meters in a brief, suspended moment before meeting the soft, sun-warmed soil below. It is a sudden landing, cushioned by the dry earth, initiating the very first independent breath of the young creature's existence. As the cool savanna wind sweeps over the plains, it carries the low, dry rustle of acacia leaves and the distant, soothing call of a mourning dove. The tiny calf lies curled for a fleeting second upon the ground, its dark, fringed eyes blinking open to take in the vast, luminous sky. Faint chirping crickets begin to stir in the grass below, weaving a quiet background hum to accompany this monumental arrival. The mother immediately lowers her long, graceful neck, casting a protective silhouette over her newborn. Without a sound, she breathes in the scent of her child, anchoring their new bond in the tranquil stillness of the closing afternoon. The warm savanna air stirs, carrying the scent of crushed dust and sun-baked earth. Upon this gentle current, the newborn calf takes its inaugural, trembling breath. Its lungs expand for the very first time, drawing in oxygen to fuel a brand new metabolism. This vital physiological transition is accompanied by the soft rustle of dry acacia leaves overhead, trembling in harmony with the afternoon breeze. As the spring wind flows across the plains, it brushes directly against the calf's damp, patterned hide. This sudden rush of air cools the amniotic fluid clinging to its dark brown spots, triggering a cascade of neurological responses. The calf's long eyelashes flutter rapidly as the bright golden light of the declining sun washes over its face. Every breeze tells a sensory story of the open grassland, carrying microscopic fragments of scent from distant watering holes and grazing herds. Biologically engineered for survival from the second of birth, the calf's nervous system rapidly catalogs these strange new stimuli. The gentle wind helps regulate its breathing rhythm, stabilizing the tiny chest as it rises and falls in quiet unison with the surrounding wilderness. Faint chirping crickets weave an ambient rhythm through the grass, blending with the steady, reassuring hum of the mother towering above. Sheltered momentarily from the wider world by long legs and deep maternal devotion, the little one rests quietly against the earth. It absorbs the profound stillness of the late afternoon, letting the soothing atmosphere wrap around its newly awakened senses. High above the resting calf, the mother shifts her stance, her towering frame moving with deliberate, calming grace. She lowers her long neck toward the sun-warmed earth, her senses entirely focused on the frail new life at her feet. With infinite gentleness, she extends her long, dark, prehensile tongue. This remarkable muscular organ, reaching up to 45 centimeters in length, sweeps across the newborn's damp coat in slow, rhythmic strokes. Each sweep of her tongue serves a vital biological purpose. Beyond removing the remaining amniotic fluid to prevent the cooling wind from dropping the calf's core body temperature too quickly, this tactile grooming stimulates peripheral circulation. The friction awakens the tiny capillaries beneath the skin, encouraging blood flow to the muscles and limbs that must soon support the infant's weight. With every pass, the mother also inhales deeply, tasting and recording the unique chemical signature of her offspring. This sensory exchange forms an unbreakable olfactory bond, ensuring she will recognize her calf among a bustling nursery herd. As she cleans, She emits a series of soft, low-frequency hums, vocalizations too deep for human ears to easily catch, yet felt as comforting vibrations in the soil. The calf yields entirely to the ministrations, letting the rhythmic pressure of the mother's head and tongue soothe its nervous system. It remains quiet and trusting, wrapped in the warm, protective shadow of towering legs. The air fills with the rich, earthy scent of bonding, sealing an ancient evolutionary pact designed to endure the challenges of the wild. As the gentle grooming subsides, a breathtaking masterpiece of nature is fully revealed across the calf's slender form. The infant's coat is an intricate mosaic of chestnut and dark chocolate patches, separated by pale, creamy channels of fur. This stunning geometric pattern is far more than mere decoration. It is a sophisticated evolutionary garment tailored specifically for life beneath the umbrella acacias. In the slanting light of the late afternoon, the dark and light markings disrupt the outline of the calf's small body. As the spring breeze causes the feathery leaves of the acacia trees overhead to sway, shadows dance continuously across the golden savanna floor. The calf's coat mimics this interplay of sun and shadow, effectively dissolving its silhouette against the tall, dry grasses and the mottled bark of the surrounding trees. To a passing predator scanning the horizon, the newborn becomes virtually indistinguishable from the dappled ground. Every detail of this newborn anatomy tells a story of adaptation. Hidden within the pattern of the fur are specialized blood vessels lying just beneath the skin. Scientists believe these vast networks help regulate the calf's body temperature under the warm African sun, dissipating heat efficiently across the expansive surface area of the body. Furthermore, two small, tufted ossicones, bony protuberances covered in skin and fur, already lie flat against the top of the skull, folded neatly backward from the birth journey to ensure a safe delivery. Within days, these cartilaginous bumps will upright themselves, hardening into the distinctive cranial ornaments of the tallest mammals on Earth. For now, the calf remains perfectly still within its camouflage, a tiny masterpiece resting quietly in the golden glow. While the newborn rests in its stillness, the mother maintains an unyielding watch over the surrounding plains. Standing nearly 5 meters tall, her vantage point offers a panoramic view of the vast, amber landscape stretching toward the horizon. Her large, dark eyes, shaded by long, dark lashes that protect against the glare of the spring sun, sweep steadily from left to right. She misses nothing of the quiet theater of the savannah. In the distance, the gentle, rhythmic cooing of mourning doves drifts across the dry, golden grasses, a sound of profound peace that signals an absence of immediate alarm. Yet, the mother's ears, large and swiveling, remain finely tuned to the subtler frequencies of the ecosystem. Every shift in the wind, every rustle of the dry acacia leaves, is analyzed with ancient, instinctual precision. In this ecosystem, life and vigilance are inextricably linked. As a herbivore bearing the ultimate prize of new life, the mother's maternal dedication is absolute. She shifts her weight slowly between her long legs, a towering silhouette of calm power against the softening light of the late afternoon. Her protective stance creates an invisible shield of safety around the resting calf, allowing the infant to absorb the sensory wonders of its first day without fear. The faint chirping of savanna crickets begins to rise from the base of the tall grass as day gradually surrenders to the oncoming evening. Bathed in the warm, horizontal rays of the sinking sun, the mother stands resolute. Her vigilant gaze sweeps the golden plains once more, guarding the fragile, sleeping new life beneath the ancient trees. As the sun descends further toward the western horizon, the amber light stretches the acacia shadows long and thin across the dusty earth. The harsh glare of the spring afternoon softens into a gentle, honeyed glow, painting the dry golden grasses in hues of bronze and ochre. Every umbrella thorn tree now casts a cool, deep violet shade, offering a quiet sanctuary from the residual heat of the day. The mother remains a steadfast monument of grace, her towering silhouette framing the tranquil scene. With slow, deliberate movements, she shifts her weight once more, her hooves pressing softly into the cooling soil. This gentle motion is accompanied by a low, rhythmic hum deep within her chest, a comforting vibration that resonates through the ground, reassuring her resting infant of her constant presence. Around them, the savanna begins its daily transformation. The faint, persistent chirping of awakening savanna crickets swells slightly, blending with the whisper of a cooling spring breeze that bends the tall grass in slow, hypnotic waves. High above, a hawk glides silently on the last thermal currents of the afternoon, its shadow fleetingly brushing the landscape before dissolving into the dusk. The gathering shadows bring a profound hush to the plains. The resting calf absorbs this deepening quiet, its slender limbs still folded neatly beneath its spotted body as it conserves every ounce of vital energy. This peaceful interim is a crucial chapter of transition, a quiet threshold between the momentous birth and the demanding physical challenges yet to come. In the deepening twilight, the mother watches over her newborn with unwavering devotion, holding the gentle stillness of the world in place. Across the vast, sun-drenched expanse of the African savanna, a gentle evening breeze whispers through the acacia thorns and dry, golden grasses. The blazing sun has begun its slow, majestic descent toward the western horizon, bathing the open plains in a rich, amber glow. Soft chirping insects awaken in the cooling air, blending with the distant, soothing calls of doves resting in the canopy. In the shelter of a tall acacia tree, a newborn giraffe lies completely still upon the sun-warmed earth. Born only hours ago, the tiny calf is absorbing the residual heat radiating from the soil, a vital mechanism of thermoregulation that helps stabilize its delicate body temperature as the ambient air begins to cool. Long, velvety eyelashes flutter softly against a dusty cheek, and slender, knobby limbs are folded neatly beneath a spotted coat. The calf's chest rises and falls in a slow, rhythmic cadence, resting peacefully after the monumental journey into the world. Standing sentinel just a few feet away, the towering mother keeps a steady, watchful vigil. She shifts her weight with a quiet, grounding scrape of hooves against the dry ground and emits a low, resonant maternal hum, a frequency too deep for human ears, yet deeply felt through the soil. This gentle vibration reassures the resting newborn, wrapping the calf in a blanket of absolute safety. Bathed in the warm, horizontal rays of sunset, the world grows hushed and still. The shadows lengthen across the plains, marking the quiet transition from the heat of the day to the peaceful twilight ahead. Here, in the cradle of the open wilderness, the young life gathers its strength, resting quietly upon the earth before the first great adventure of standing begins. As the amber glow of the setting sun deepens, a subtle shift ripples across the resting form of the newborn calf. Deep within the infant's developing nervous system, ancient motor programs begin to fire, waking muscles that have yet to experience the pull of gravity. The long, velvety ears twitch in response to the rustling grass, filtering the peaceful sounds of the approaching evening. Large, liquid, dark eyes blink slowly against the golden light, taking in the blurred shapes of the surrounding savanna. This awakening vision is accompanied by a sudden surge of alertness, governed by the rush of neonatal hormones designed to spur the newborn into action before nightfall brings its inevitable dangers. With a delicate shiver of the speckled coat, the calf lifts its head. The slender neck, surprisingly heavy for its fragile frame, strains upward as the young giraffe surveys its immediate surroundings for the very first time. Every vertebra aligns in a tentative, wobbly arc, testing the balance of a skull crowned with soft, velvety ossicones. Close beside, The mother offers another low, soothing hum, vibrating the earth beneath them. The calf's dark nostrils flare, breathing in the rich scent of sun-baked soil and maternal protection. The heavy cloak of rest begins to lift entirely, replaced by an innate, irresistible drive to rise. The impossibly long legs, tucked so neatly moments before, begin to twitch and stretch against the warm ground. The first quiet preparations for the journey toward the horizon have begun, cradled in the gentle stillness of the fading day. Slowly, the newborn gathers its slender limbs, preparing for the most precarious trial of its first hours of life. The front hooves unfold first, sweeping forward in an awkward, uncoordinated arc against the dry, sun-warmed earth. In these initial moments of motor skill acquisition, the joints, knobby, oversized, and seemingly unattached, refuse to bend in harmony. With a deep, shuddering intake of breath, the calf attempts to tuck those impossibly long legs beneath its chest. Gravity, an entirely foreign force, presses down with relentless weight. The front knees buckle instantly, sending the young giraffe sliding softly back into the dust. Yet, an ancient and unyielding neural drive compels it to try again. Muscles that have known only the dark, confined safety of the womb now strain and tremble under the golden light. The calf thrusts its heavy head upward, using the momentum of its neck as a counterbalance to lever its fragile torso from the ground. Rear hooves scramble for traction against the rustling grass, slipping and sliding in a clumsy dance of persistence. For a breathless second, the front legs lock straight, trembling under the sudden burden. The entire frame sways precariously, shifting from side to side like a mast caught in a gentle swell. Every ligament and tendon works overtime, coordinating the complex biomechanics of standing on stilts. With one final, determined heave of its shoulders, the calf manages to straighten its hind legs, achieving a fleeting, breathtaking suspension above the ground. It stands at last, a marvel of fragile architecture balanced upon four slender pillars, swaying gently beneath the vast amber sky. At last, the towering height is achieved. The newborn stands suspended nearly 6 feet above the sun-warmed earth, a marvel of fragile architecture resting upon 4 slender, trembling pillars of bone and sinew. From this dizzying new vantage point, the open plains stretch outward in waves of gold and amber, vastly different from anything the calf has ever known. Motor skill acquisition is a profound neurological triumph here on the savanna. The calf's oversized joints, swollen with developing cartilage, lock into place to defy gravity. Every muscle fiber hums with intense micro-adjustments, working overtime to maintain balance against the gentle breath of the evening wind. The body sways rhythmically, like a slender sapling caught in a late afternoon breeze, as the young central nervous system learns to master the art of equilibrium. Sensing this monumental achievement, the mother giraffe steps closer. With immense, quiet grace, she moves to bridge the distance, her towering shadow falling softly over her offspring. She lowers her long neck, her rough, warm tongue sweeping in slow, rhythmic strokes across the calf's damp flanks. These reassuring licks not only help to stimulate circulation and dry the newborn's coat, but they also reinforce a deep, ancient bond of security. Standing as a living wall between the fragile calf and the wide, untamed horizon, the mother creates a sanctuary of safety. With each low, rumbling maternal hum vibrating through the dry grasses, she anchors the newborn in its new world, wrapping the exhausted little form in a profound and tranquil peace as twilight begins to fold over the plains. Now comes the true test of coordination upon the uneven savanna floor. With slender legs planted wide in an instinctive wide-base stance, the newborn prepares to move. The journey of motor skill acquisition demands every ounce of remaining energy. A single hoof lifts from the dry earth, hanging suspended for a long, hesitant moment before reaching forward to find purchase in the rustling grass. Each step is a delicate negotiation between gravity and growing muscle memory. The brain's motor cortex fires rapid electrical signals down the spinal cord, orchestrating a complex symphony of contraction and release. Yet, the limbs remain wonderfully uncoordinated, wobbling slightly with every forward shift in weight. The left front leg steps out of rhythm with the right hind leg, creating an endearing, swaying gait that resembles a ship finding its balance upon rolling amber waves. The ground beneath is a mosaic of sun-baked soil, scattered pebbles, and tufts of resilient grass, presenting a minor obstacle course for unpracticed hooves. Soft hoof taps murmur quietly against the earth, accompanied by the gentle sigh of the wind through the plains. The calf pauses, neck outstretched, leaning forward with heavy-lidded eyes as if testing the very concept of distance. With every clumsy, exploratory stride, neural pathways forge unbreakable connections at an astonishing pace. The sheer vulnerability of these first movements is matched only by their quiet determination. Supported by the tranquil atmosphere of the fading afternoon and the steady, protective presence just a breath away, the young giraffe continues its slow, rhythmic march across the golden ground, learning the ancient language of the walk one tender step at a time. As the golden orange light of the African sunset begins to yield to the cool indigo of evening, the mother giraffe takes a gentle, purposeful step. Sensing her newborn's growing fatigue after the exhausting journey of standing, she deliberately shifts her weight and positions her long body to create a sheltered, protective corridor. This subtle stance adjustment guards the vulnerable calf from the open expanse of the plains, offering both physical security and a clear path forward. Guided by ancient olfactory cues, the calf noses gently against the mother's warm flank. Specialized scent glands and instinct direct the newborn downward, searching for the source of nourishment. A low maternal hum vibrates softly through the air, a deep, soothing vocalization that reassures the resting infant. The calf locates the udder and begins to nurse. This initial feeding delivers colostrum, a specialized milk rich in vital antibodies and essential nutrients that jumpstart the newborn's naive immune system. Every rhythmic swallow provides the metabolic energy necessary for thermoregulation, helping the calf maintain its core body temperature as the ambient air cools rapidly under the darkening sky. In this quiet twilight, surrounded by the gentle rustling of savanna grass and the soft hum of evening insects, the bond between mother and offspring solidifies. The frantic vulnerability of birth settles into a peaceful, rhythmic stillness. Eyes grow heavy, eyelids drooping against the fading light, as the young giraffe rests, completely safe and profoundly nourished, ready to dream beneath the rising stars. A gentle wind sweeps across the wide, sun-baked plains, carrying the quiet hush of an approaching evening. The great golden orb of the sun dips low toward the horizon, casting long, softening rays across the dry earth. Out in the open grasslands, a mother giraffe shifts her weight, her large, dark eyes scanning the shifting landscape with steady patience. Beside her stands her newborn calf, barely a few weeks old, its long, spindly legs still learning the art of effortless stillness. As the heat of the day finally begins to fracture, the mother turns purposefully toward the edge of the savanna. With a slow, rhythmic gait, she leads her fragile offspring away from the exposed sun and toward a dense cluster of umbrella acacia trees. This woodland sanctuary offers a natural shield, dappled with cooling shadows that stretch far across the rustling dirt. In the animal kingdom, a giraffe's distinctive coat is a marvel of evolutionary camouflage. As the pair steps beneath the sheltering canopy, the angular patches of chestnut and cream dissolve seamlessly into the fractured light filtering through the feathery acacia leaves. The sharp outlines of their towering anatomy blur against the vertical trunks and drooping branches, effectively concealing them from distant, watchful eyes. The air changes here beneath the canopy. It grows noticeably cooler, carrying the rich, earthy scent of damp soil and crushed acacia leaves. Faint and far away, the soft cooing of morning doves drifts through the branches like a lullaby, while the very first evening crickets begin to rub their wings together in a steady, hypnotic rhythm. With every deliberate step deeper into the grove, the exposed world fades away, leaving only the quiet safety of the darkening trees. The physics of concealment take on a quiet, living art form within the grove. Each giraffe bears a coat adorned with a unique constellation of dark, jagged patches bordered by pale, creamy channels. Biologists recognize these complex polygons as a disruptive coloration strategy, breaking up the continuous, massive silhouette of the animal into smaller, unreadable shapes. As twilight deepens, this biological pattern works in remarkable harmony with the environment. The fading sun sends low-angled rays through the feathery acacia foliage, casting a mosaic of bright highlights and deep, indigo shadows upon the dirt floor. Standing motionless beneath the canopy, the mother and her calf seem to evaporate into the woodland architecture. The dark chestnut blotches on their skin mimic the deep spaces between the branches, while the lighter lines mirror the filtered sunbeams striking the dust. To the untrained eye of a distant predator scanning the tree line, the towering giants simply cease to exist as distinct forms, blending entirely into the shifting play of light and shadow. The calf, mirroring its mother's posture, tilts its head slightly, its spotted neck aligning almost perfectly with a descending tree limb. Its large, liquid eyes remain half-closed, perfectly content in the protective obscurity of its patterned camouflage. Even the dense network of blood vessels beneath the light-colored patches, which once helped dissipate the intense daytime heat, now rests quietly under the cooling evening air. The skin becomes a cool canvas, absorbing the peace of the darkening grove. Here, wrapped in nature's own optical illusion, the young animal learns the profound comfort of invisibility, resting safely while the rest of the savanna slowly blurs into the velvet arms of night. Deeper within the sanctuary of the umbrella acacias, the mother and her newborn are not alone. Emerging silently from the amber haze, another towering female glides into the grove, walking with that unmistakable, rhythmic pacing of the plains. Tucked safely against her flank walks a second calf, slightly older and bolder, its coat of vibrant tapestry of fresh ochre and chestnut. This gentle convergence forms a natural nursery group, a collaborative social arrangement essential to spring survival on the savanna. In the wild hierarchy of giraffes, raising young is rarely a solitary endeavor. By pooling their maternal resources, the mothers establish a shared vigilance. While one female lowers her head to rest or quietly browse on the lower acacia leaves, another remains standing sentinel, her exceptional height offering a panoramic vantage point over the tall grasses. As the new arrivals settle into the dust, a soft, communal harmony fills the air. The calves approach one another with tentative, curious steps, stretching their velvety muzzles forward to exchange breath. These early olfactory introductions lay the foundational social architecture of the herd, fostering bonds that will endure for years. There are no sudden movements, only the slow, deliberate swaying of long necks and the occasional rhythmic flick of a dark-tipped tail against descending evening insects. Communication within this quiet gathering bypasses the vocal cords entirely. Instead, the mothers emit low-frequency infrasound, deep, rolling vibrations that travel through the soil and resonate within the massive chest cavities of the herd. To human ears, the grove remains deeply still, save for the gentle rustling of leaves and the rising chorus of evening crickets. Yet beneath this surface quietude, an intricate web of acoustic reassurance pulses constantly through the earth, binding the nursery together in a shared cocoon of absolute security as the first evening stars begin to puncture the violet sky. As the violet sky deepens into indigo, the sensory landscape of the savanna shifts profoundly for the newborn calf. With day vision fading, the young giraffe's other senses sharpen to interpret the coming night. A gentle evening breeze sweeps through the acacia canopy, carrying the rich, damp scent of cooling earth and crushed leaves directly to its sensitive nostrils. Every gust brings a mosaic of distant information, the metallic tang of water from a distant pool, the musky trace of passing herbivores, and the faint, unsettling scent notes drifting on the wind that hint at waking predators miles away. The auditory world transforms just as dramatically. The familiar daytime calls dissolve, replaced by the soft, rhythmic rustling of foliage as acacia pods settle for the night. High above, the gentle cooing of mourning doves fades into silence, making space for the rising, steady hum of crickets establishing their nocturnal rhythm. The calf turns its large, dark-lashed eyes toward these new sounds, its mobile ears pivoting independently to capture every subtle nuance of the acoustic environment. Evolution has finely tuned the calf's anatomy for this transition. Its disproportionately large eyes, designed to gather maximum light through expansive pupils, begin to adapt to the shadows, rendering the dappled darkness in shades of gray and silver. Yet, it is through touch and vibration that the calf finds its truest anchor. The rhythmic thrum of its mother's heartbeat, transmitted up through her massive legs and into the dust where they rest, provides a steady, comforting metronome. Surrounded by the rustling leaves and the low, imperceptible hum of maternal infrasound vibrating through the soil, the young giraffe sinks deeper into the stillness, learning to read the quiet language of the night. Beneath the sprawling, ink-black branches of the umbrella acacia, the towering mother giraffe shifts her weight with deliberate, measured grace. Standing directly over her resting offspring, she forms a living fortification against the open savanna, her massive forelegs casting long, protective pillars over the curled calf. This physical closeness is a masterclass in mammalian architecture. Her towering height acts as a formidable visual shield, while her patterned flanks blur the boundaries between living animal and dappled shadow. With slow, deliberate care, she lowers her long, flexible neck, pressing her soft muzzle gently against the calf's flank. A series of soft, rhythmic nudges guide the young giraffe into an even deeper, more secure curve against the inner arch of her legs. This tactile reassurance releases a cascade of soothing neurochemicals, anchoring the newborn in profound safety. Every sweep of her velvety lips across the calf's crown smooths down the short, coarse hairs, while her breath, warm and carrying the sweet tang of digested acacia leaves, washes over the small creature in a steady, calming tide. In this sheltered sanctuary, the maternal bond is reinforced not through sound, but through deep, biological resonance. The mother emits a sequence of low-frequency vibrations, a rumbling infrasound below the threshold of human hearing that travels directly through the cool spring earth into the resting calf's frame. It is an ancient, wordless lullaby passed down through generations of prey animals facing the gathering dusk. Safe within the shadow of her immense anatomy, the young giraffe yields entirely to the peaceful gravity of the moment, its breathing falling into a slow, harmonious rhythm with the heartbeat of its world. As twilight takes full hold, the sprawling savanna quiets down, surrendering to the cool, quiet breath of spring. High above the sheltered grove, the first pale stars pierce the darkening violet sky, casting a faint, silvery sheen across the umbrella acacia canopy. The giraffe herd is now firmly established in this leafy haven, arranged in a loose, protective circle of shared vigilance. Forms blur into soft silhouettes, and the boundary between animal and earth softens in the dimming light. Standing sentinel over her resting newborn, the mother remains a tower of watchful stillness. Though her eyelids may occasionally droop with the heavy fatigue of the day, her long, dark-lashed eyes stay open, tracking the subtle shifts in the evening air. Giraffes are famously light sleepers, often resting for mere minutes at a time while standing, relying on this fragmented cycle to remain forever prepared. Yet tonight, cradled by the deep security of the nursery group, the calf experiences a rare, unbroken stillness. All around them, the ambient sounds of the coming night settle into a steady, soothing cadence. The gentle rustle of acacia leaves overhead mingles with the rising, rhythmic chorus of crickets hidden in the damp soil below. Far out across the darkening plains, the distant call of a mourning dove fades into the quiet, leaving behind only the low, harmonious hum of the natural world. Beneath the protective arches of maternal anatomy, breathing in unison with the herd, the young giraffe drifts deeper into sleep, safely anchored for the starlit hours ahead. As the amber glow of twilight surrenders to the cool embrace of evening, the vast African savanna exhales. A gentle wind whispers through the branches of the umbrella thorn acacias, carrying the rhythmic, soothing cadence of crickets chirping in the dry grasses. Above, the southern sky blossoms into a breathtaking canopy of starlight, anchored by the glowing dust of the Milky Way and illuminated by a slender, pale crescent moon. In this quiet stillness, the shadows of the acacia grove begin to shift. The giraffe herd, massive silhouettes moving with silent grace, slowly gathers beneath the protective canopy. Driven by ancient survival instincts, the adult giraffes drift together, forming a loose, defensive circle. They position themselves facing outward, their long necks weaving a tapestry of vigilance against the velvet dark. For these gentle giants, nightfall brings no true slumber, only a delicate transition in watchfulness. A low, barely audible rumble of hooves vibrates through the cooling earth as the matriarch settles her immense weight, anchoring the group. Beside her stands a young calf, its long legs still knobby and unaccustomed to the marathon of survival. Guided by instinct, the little one presses close to its mother's flank, safe within the protective perimeter of the herd. As the nocturnal symphony deepens, punctuated by the distant call of an owl and the soft rustling of leaves, the giants remain upright, guarding the peace of the midnight hour with steady, unwavering patience. To understand why these magnificent creatures remain upright through the starlit hours, one must look closely at the sheer physical reality of their immense stature. Standing nearly 6 meters tall, an adult giraffe is a marvel of evolutionary engineering. Yet this towering height comes with profound vulnerability. Lying flat upon the open earth, while comfortable for smaller mammals, is a perilous endeavor for such a giant. To drop to the ground requires an intricate, deliberate sequence of unfolding limbs, leaving the animal structurally compromised and agonizingly slow to rise. In the shadowed depths of the savanna night, where stealthy predators like lions prowl the tall grasses, a recumbent giraffe is dangerously exposed. Time is a luxury these animals cannot afford. A sudden ambush would leave a resting giant trapped by its own geometry, unable to mount a swift escape. Thus, natural selection has sculpted a different path for the giraffe cardiovascular and nervous systems. Standing is not merely a choice of vigilance, it is a physiological necessity. Their specialized circulatory system, featuring powerful heart valves and elastic blood vessels designed to pump life-giving oxygen up a 2-meter neck against gravity, functions most efficiently when the body is upright. By remaining mostly vertical, the herd bypasses the dangerous vulnerability of full recumbency. They maintain a state of ready equilibrium, resting their massive bodies while keeping their long legs locked in a gentle, energy-saving stance. Even in deep rest, nature ensures they are never truly off balance, anchoring their survival in the quiet, watchful dignity of height. Out of this physical necessity emerges one of the most remarkable sleep cycles in the animal kingdom. Mammals typically require hours of uninterrupted slumber to restore their bodies and minds, drifting deep into cycles of rapid eye movement sleep. But for a giraffe beneath the southern stars, such luxury is impossible. Instead, the adults practice a fragmented art of rest, seizing tiny, restorative moments while remaining almost entirely upright. They require as little as 30 minutes of total sleep in a 24-hour period, and even that is broken down into micro-naps lasting mere seconds or minutes at a time. The mother demonstrates this quiet adaptation now. Still standing tall against the night sky, she curves her magnificent 2-meter neck backward in an elegant, sweeping arc. She gently rests her heavy chin upon her own muscular rump, anchoring her head in a posture that looks almost impossibly graceful. In this locked, stable position, her neck muscles finally relax, supported by a specialized neutral ligament that acts like a built-in suspension bridge. For brief, precious intervals, her eyelids flutter as she drifts into fleeting dreams, her brain processing the day's journey across the plains. Yet her long legs remain straight, ready to spring into motion at the slightest shift in the nocturnal breeze. Her heart, a powerhouse of cardiovascular engineering, continues its steady, rhythmic pumping, maintaining vital blood pressure without missing a beat. Nearby, the young calf watches the silent choreography, mirroring the posture by resting its own small head upon its back. Together, mother and child drift through these passing fragments of rest, suspended in the gentle, watchful hush of the African night. Sheltered within the protective geometry of the herd, the young calf feels the steady, reassuring warmth of its mother's flank against its side. At only a few months old, the calf's growing body craves the restorative depths of sleep, yet its instincts demand constant, watchful awareness. It cannot afford the deep, sprawling slumber of smaller mammals. Survival on the open savanna requires an early mastery of the giraffe's unique, cautious way of resting. The little one shifts its weight, folding its long, spindly legs beneath its torso in a gentle, temporary downward settle. For a calf, lying down is safer than it is for a fully grown adult, yet it remains a vulnerable posture. It keeps its ears swiveling, catching every whisper of the night. A low, resonant hum vibrates from the mother's throat, a deep, infrasonic murmur that gently blankets the youngster in a feeling of absolute security. With quiet determination, the calf arches its neck and attempts the adult posture, resting its delicate chin softly upon its own small rump. Its large, dark eyes flutter open and closed as micro-sleep takes hold for barely 60 seconds at a time. In these fleeting pauses, the brain consolidates memories of daytime foraging and scattered shadows, drifting through dreamscapes while remaining acutely tuned to the rustling grass. A distant sound drifts through the cool air, the faint, dry snap of a breaking twig carried on the gentle wind. Instantly, the mother's muscles tense, and the calf's head lifts in response, movement flowing seamlessly through the pair. They are bound together by an ancient rhythm of vigilance and rest, floating safely in the quiet cradle of the starlit night. High above the dark horizon, the constellations wheel slowly across the velvet sky, casting a pale, silver luminescence over the acacia-dotted plains. In this dim starlight, the giraffe's sensory world expands far beyond the reach of human perception. Perched atop their exceptionally long necks, oversized ears rotate independently, catching the faintest atmospheric vibrations and decoding the nocturnal symphony of the bush. Every rustling leaf and distant cricket chirp is meticulously catalogued by a brain finely tuned to the rhythms of the wild. Beneath the surface of this quiet watchfulness lies a sophisticated system of communication. The adult giraffes emit low-frequency infrasonic rumbles, sounds too deep for human ears to register, yet powerful enough to travel great distances across the open earth. These silent vibrations pulse through the soil and through the air, acting as an invisible tether that binds the scattered members of the herd together. If a shadow shifts near a distant watering hole or a predator takes a stealthy step through the tall grass, the warning ripples through the infrasonic network instantaneously. The calf, absorbing these lessons in survival, keeps its dark, liquid eyes wide. Its vision is remarkably panoramic, granting it a sweeping view of the moonlit landscape without needing to turn its head. Large lenses and a high density of rod cells in the retina allow both mother and young to navigate the shadows with ease, spotting the subtle silhouette of a prowling lion long before danger draws close. For now, the landscape remains peaceful. The gentle wind whispers through the thorn trees, and the collective vigilance of the herd holds firm. In this tranquil sanctuary of starlight and shadow, rest and awareness flow together as one, guiding the young calf gently toward the safety of the coming dawn. As the nocturnal hours wane, the Southern Cross constellation tilts gradually toward the western horizon. The pale crescent moon dips lower, casting long, peaceful shadows across the dewy grasses of the open savanna. The temperature reaches its coolest point just before sunrise, wrapping the resting herd in a refreshing, crisp breeze that rustles softly through the acacia canopy. The giraffes remain standing, their towering silhouettes carved against the lightning indigo sky, their remarkable cardiovascular system driven by a powerful 25-pound heart that maintains immense blood pressure up the long vertical climb of the neck, continues to function with quiet, steady precision, even as their bodies settle into stillness. They do not lie down, preserving their readiness to move instantly. Beside her mother, the young calf blinks slowly, feeling the gentle, rhythmic pulse of the earth beneath its hooves. Its body, growing rapidly through the nourishment of spring, requires this quiet endurance. The fragmented sleep cycles of the night have done their work, resting the young nervous system without ever letting down the guard of the herd. Far off in the distance, a spotted hyena gives a final, sleepy yawn, turning away as the shadows begin to retreat. The insects quiet their chorus, and a soft, pearlescent glow creeps over the eastern edge of the world. The dark velvet of the night softens into shades of lavender and gold, heralding the arrival of a new day. With every member safe and accounted for, the herd greets the approaching dawn in unbroken harmony, anchored by the ancient silent strength that carried them through the starlight watch. A crisp, heavy silence settles over the vast spring savanna as the last fading stars surrender to the velvet canopy of a retreating night. A gentle, chilly wind whispers across the undulating grasslands, carrying the fresh, clean scent of damp earth and coming dawn. Across the endless plains, a delicate layer of morning mist materializes, pooling in the shallow depressions and clinging softly to the razor-sharp tips of the umbrella acacia trees. Every leaf and blade of grass bows slightly beneath the weight of glistening dew, heavy moisture that condenses in the cooling air. In this quiet hour before the sun breaks the horizon, the temperature reaches its lowest ebb. The landscape is suspended in stillness. Far in the distance, the soft melodious cooing of morning doves begins to drift through the pale haze, the only sound disturbing the nocturnal peace. Beneath the sprawling canopy of an ancient acacia, monumental silhouettes emerge from the fog. Here, on the dew-soaked plains, a mother giraffe and her young calf stand motionless, conserving their warmth in the receding chill. The spring air is brisk, yet the towering mammals are exquisitely adapted to these thermal swings. Beneath the intricate mosaic of their patterned skin lies a dense, sophisticated network of capillaries. This specialized vascular system allows them to regulate their body temperature with remarkable precision, gently circulating warmth throughout their towering frames as the cold air presses in. As the dim horizon lightens from indigo to a soft, bruised purple, the quiet expanse of the savanna holds its breath, waiting for the first amber promise of the rising sun. Beside the towering form of its mother, the young calf begins to stir within the chilly embrace of the morning fog. Having spent the entire night locked in a standing rest, a vital evolutionary defense against the nocturnal shadows, its developing limbs are stiff with the accumulation of hours spent motionless. The calf shifts its weight, bending its knobby, disproportionately long knees in a slow, careful sequence. Slowly, the youngster arches its slender neck, extending it upward in a graceful, sweeping motion that coaxes elasticity back into the growing vertebrae and taut muscles. This deliberate stretching is a biological necessity for a juvenile whose frame is expanding at a remarkable rate during the nutrient-rich spring season. Every ligament and tendon responds to the movement, waking the circulatory pathways and preparing the young body for the journey ahead. With a gentle shudder, the calf shakes off the heavy moisture clinging to its soft, velvety coat, sending microscopic droplets of dew sparkling into the damp air. Its ears twitch back and forth, catching the rustling sound of dew-laden grass brushing against its lower legs as it tests its footing on the softening earth. The mother lowers her head just enough to nudge the calf's flank, a reassuring, tactile gesture of parental care that anchors the newborn in the quiet safety of the dawn. The calf leans momentarily into the warm expanse of her foreleg, absorbing her steady heat before resuming its gentle routine of extension. Its tail swishes softly against the cool breeze, a final, unhurried signal of a body fully returning to the waking world. While the calf loosens its joints, the mother remains an unyielding pillar of watchfulness against the pale gray horizon. Her large, dark eyes scan the shifting veils of mist where the open plains dissolve into the distance. In these fragile hours between darkness and dawn, her vigilance is absolute. Nocturnal predators, weary from a night of unsuccessful hunting, are retreating to the shaded safety of distant thickets. Yet the threat of an opportunistic ambush lingers in the damp air. Her long, dark-tipped ears rotate independently, catching the faintest auditory cues, the settling of the grassland, the settling of the soil, the receding rustle of padded paws. Standing sentinel, she positions her massive frame strategically between the emerging sunlight and her resting offspring, creating a living bulwark against the chilly wind. Her heightened state of awareness is supported by an intricate network of nerves and a remarkably acute sense of smell, allowing her to read the morning breeze for the subtlest traces of scent carried across the dewy vegetation. Every muscle in her neck is held in a state of poised readiness, balanced by the sheer architectural marvel of her heavy cervical vertebrae and the powerful nuchal ligament that effortlessly suspends her head for hours without fatigue. She exhales softly, a warm plume of breath mingling with the low-hanging fog, signaling her enduring calm to the rest of the slumbering herd. This quiet protection is the cornerstone of maternal investment on the savanna, a silent pact that affords the newborn the safety required to grow. As the mist slowly begins to thin, her steady gaze never wavers, holding the perimeter in a timeless rhythm of guardianship. Beneath the patterned mosaic of her tawny coat, an invisible engine quietly hums against the morning chill. As the cool air drifts across the open plains, the mother giraffe's body manages the low temperature through an extraordinary physiological design. Just beneath her skin lies a dense, specialized network of microscopic blood vessels, a complex vascular system that acts as a natural thermal regulator. When the dawn air is crisp, these capillaries delicately adjust, restricting blood flow to the surface to preserve vital core warmth, protecting her massive heart and long limbs from the bite of the morning breeze. As the first amber rays of sunlight begin to filter through the mist, these vessels gently dilate, allowing the warming solar energy to be absorbed and distributed efficiently throughout her towering frame. This remarkable circulatory adaptation is especially crucial for the young calf standing beside her, whose developing internal systems are still learning to cope with the dramatic temperature swings of the spring savanna. Without the need for shivering, which would expend precious energy needed for growth, the giraffe's circulatory masterpiece maintains thermal equilibrium. The patterned patches of her coat, deeply rooted with blood vessels beneath the darker, rich brown areas, absorb the early light like solar panels, Nature has engineered a quiet, sophisticated defense against the elements, turning the very skin of the animal into a dynamic thermal blanket. Standing in the diffusing fog, mother and offspring are warmed from the outside in and the inside out, perfectly attuned to the shifting climate of the awakening world. Across the misty expanse of the awakening plain, a low, resonant rumble begins to vibrate through the damp soil. This is the infrasonic hum of the herd, a deep frequency communication felt rather than heard, carrying messages of safety and social cohesion across the tall grasses. Slowly, other members of the nursery group emerge from their nocturnal standing rest, their towering silhouettes dissolving the lingering fog as they adjust their positions. A female a few yards away shifts her weight, flexing long, slender legs to relieve the stillness of the night, while a yearling near the edge of the grove stretches its neck toward an acacia canopy. This synchronized awakening relies on subtle postural cues, a slight tilt of an ear, a gentle sway of a head that ripples silently through the group. The mother giraffe responds with a soft, breathy vocalization, acknowledging her kin as the social fabric of the herd knits firmly together for the new day. Every movement is deliberate and unhurried, conserving the calm energy that sustains them in this vast ecosystem. As the golden light strengthens, more of the towering shapes come to life, turning the misty landscape into a gathering of quiet, graceful giants ready to embrace the warmth of the spring morning. The chilly wind softens into a gentle, still breath across the dew-kissed plains, carrying with it the quiet promise of warmth. Far on the eastern horizon, where the flat canopy of the acacia trees meets the pale sky, the first amber rays of sunlight pierce the low-hanging mist. This gradual illumination acts as a natural biological cue, signaling the shift from nocturnal vigilance to the active rhythms of the diurnal cycle. As the golden light spills across the damp soil, it warms the intricate network of capillaries just beneath the giraffe's patterned skin, gently raising their core body temperature after the cool spring night. The young calf tilts its head toward the brightening sky, blinking softly against the sudden, beautiful glare of dawn. Every blade of grass and every hanging drop of moisture catches the new light, turning the gray expanse into a glittering tapestry of gold and green. The mother lowers her long neck to touch the calf's damp flank, a reassuring gesture of maternal connection as the shadows retreat. Around them, the rest of the herd stands bathed in the amber glow, their imposing forms relaxed yet fully alert. The distant, soothing notes of morning doves drift over the rustling, dew-laden grass, completing the peaceful transition into day. With slow, unhurried steps, the giants begin to drift toward the nearest grove, ready to embrace the gentle bounty of the morning. The soft, amber light of a summer dawn gently washes over the dew-kissed grasses of the vast open savanna. As the first rays of the sun pierce the horizon, they illuminate the resting silhouette of a giraffe herd, long-necked shadows stretching peacefully across the earth. A gentle morning breeze whispers through the acacia branches, accompanied by the quiet hum of awakening insects and the melodious chirps of distant birds greeting the new day. Amidst this tranquil landscape, a young giraffe calf stirs, showing remarkable physical maturation since its birth in the cooler days of spring. Its once knobby joints and delicate frame have filled out, supported by weeks of rich, nourishing milk that has fueled a steady, impressive surge in skeletal growth. Standing tall beside its resting mother, the juvenile no longer looks quite so fragile. Its long legs are sturdy, and its neck has lengthened gracefully, carrying the weight of a developing body designed for the treetops. The mother remains still, her dark, expressive eyes watchful as she lowers her head just enough to nuzzle the youngster's growing coat. This silent reassurance anchors the calf in the safety of the herd. Soft hoofbeats lightly brush the soil as nearby family members shift against the morning chill, their tawny patches glowing warmly in the spreading sunlight. In this quiet hour, every breath is deep and unhurried. The cooling mist of the night slowly lifts, leaving behind the rich, earthy scent of damp grass and sun-warmed acacia leaves, wrapping the resting herd in a profound, peaceful stillness. Beneath the warm amber glow of the summer morning, a quiet biological marvel unfolds within the growing calf's lengthening frame. Weeks of rich, nutrient-dense milk have provided the essential calcium and protein required for an extraordinary transformation. In these early months of life, a young giraffe can stretch upward by nearly a meter, an astonishing rate of skeletal elongation driven by specialized growth plates at the ends of its long bones. These once wobbly limbs have thickened into sturdy pillars of living architecture, beautifully adapted to support a rapidly increasing weight and height. Inside these sturdy bones, specialized cartilage rapidly hardens into solid mineralized structure, engineered to withstand the mechanical stresses of future wandering across the open plains. As the calf shifts its posture, its cardiovascular system rises to the challenge of this new verticality. A powerful, specialized heart pumps rhythmically, generating higher blood pressure to push oxygenated blood all the way up the lengthening neck against the force of gravity. Elastic blood vessels with unique internal valves gently regulate this upward flow, ensuring the brain remains steady and calm even when the head dips down to explore the grasses. Every subtle movement showcases this intricate physiological design. The joints flex with quiet resilience, whispering of a body perfectly tuned for the savanna. Bathed in the soft, golden light, the juvenile stands as a testament to nature's patient craftsmanship, growing stronger and taller with every passing breath in the peaceful dawn. With a sudden surge of morning vitality, the young giraffe tosses its head and launches into a series of short, spirited gallops across the open plain. This burst of play is more than mere exuberance. It is a vital test of developing coordination. A giraffe's locomotion is naturally unique, utilizing a pacing gait where both legs on one side of the body move forward simultaneously, followed by the pair on the other side. As the calf bounds through the knee-high grasses, its elongated legs sweep forward in a remarkably graceful, rocking synchronization. Each stride covers impressive ground, the lengthening limbs absorbing the impact of the earth with surprising springiness. Specialized tendons act like taut rubber bands, storing and releasing elastic energy with every leap, reducing the muscular effort required to move its rapidly growing frame. A few paces away, the mother watches placidly from beneath the shade of a weeping acacia. She remains a reassuring, steady presence on the horizon, her large, dark eyes tracking every playful leap without restricting the youngster's growing independence. She grants the space needed for exploration, knowing that the safety of the wider herd envelops them both. The calf kicks up its heels in a final, sweeping arc before slowing to a gentle trot. Its chest rises and falls rhythmically as it catches its breath, the warm summer breeze rustling through its small, bristly ossicones. Satisfied with this brief display of athletic freedom, the juvenile drifts back toward the protective warmth of its mother's side, bathed in the tranquil stillness of the brightening dawn. As the young giraffe settles into a calm, rhythmic stride, a silent internal marvel sustains every movement. Reaching a height that now towers well above the tall grasses brings extraordinary physiological demands, particularly for the circulatory system. Pumping blood all the way up a stretching neck against the pull of gravity requires an exceptionally powerful heart. Weighing up to 25 pounds, the juvenile's heart is already developing dense muscular walls, contracting with twice the force of a human heart to maintain steady pressure to the brain. Golden morning light glints across the intricate, leaf-like patterns of the calf's coat, highlighting the subtle rise and fall of its chest. Beneath this beautifully marked skin lies another vital adaptation, a specialized network of elastic blood vessels at the base of the brain, known scientifically as the rete mirabile. When the calf lowers its long neck to drink or graze, This marvelous web of capillaries acts as a biological shock absorber, slowing and regulating the rush of blood to prevent sudden spikes in cranial pressure. Equally sophisticated one-way valves line the jugular veins, preventing backflow and ensuring a smooth, controlled return of blood toward the heart when the head snaps back up to scan the horizon. These hidden biological wonders work in perfect harmony, adjusting instantly whether the calf is standing completely still or bounding joyfully across the sun-drenched plains. With every steady breath and measured heartbeat, the juvenile's growing body gracefully masters the complex physics of vertical life, enveloped in the quiet, restorative peace of the brightening savanna. A few paces away, another juvenile pauses beside a broad umbrella acacia, its dappled coat catching the amber glow of the rising sun. Drawn by a quiet curiosity, the growing calf alters its course, stepping softly across the rustling grasses toward this familiar companion. Their approach is unhurried, guided by the ancient instincts of the nursery herd. As they meet, the two young giraffes press gently together, resting their slender necks side by side in a gesture of effortless camaraderie. This peaceful swaying interaction, though seemingly simple, lays the vital foundation for complex social structures and lifelong bonds within the community. Synchronized standing follows, both calves lifting their heads in unison to scan the open horizon. Every subtle shift in weight and every shared pause reinforces herd cohesion, teaching the young animals the silent language of mutual awareness. Just a short distance away, the towering matriarchs continue their measured browsing on tender acacia leaves, forming a calm, protective perimeter of safety and community. Bathed in the warm, restorative light of early summer, the juveniles lean into each other's quiet presence, anchored by the steady, reassuring hum of the surrounding landscape and the gentle guardianship of the herd. As the morning warmth intensifies across the open plains, the low amber light gradually deepens into the brilliant, clear gold of full summer daylight. The gentle wind carries the warm scent of sun-baked earth and sweet acacia blossom, while a soft, rhythmic chorus of morning birdsong settles into a steady, peaceful hum. Responding to an unspoken, collective cue, the towering matriarchs shift their weight and begin a slow, deliberate march toward richer feeding grounds. The herd moves as one fluid, elegant constellation across the landscape, their long shadows stretching out behind them upon the rustling grasses. Moving in effortless harmony with its mother, the growing calf steps forward into this timeless rhythm of the savanna. Its newly strengthened legs, fueled by weeks of rich milk and rapid bone elongation, carry it along with a smooth, swinging gait. The cardiovascular system, having adapted seamlessly to pump blood up the lengthening neck against gravity, maintains a calm and steady pulse with every graceful stride. Fully integrated into the daily migration of the nursery group, the young giraffe feels no rush, only the deep, restorative safety of the surrounding family. Each hoofbeat sounds a soft, muffled rhythm against the earth, blending into the quiet symphony of the wild. Side by side with the mother who guides its path, the calf gazes ahead toward the higher canopy, perfectly poised for whatever peaceful discoveries the afternoon may bring. The late summer sun hangs low and heavy in the western sky, washing the wide African savanna in deep, luxurious shades of amber and bronze. Through this golden haze, the warm light filters down through the sprawling, flat-topped canopies of mature umbrella acacias, casting long, peaceful shadows and intricate patterns of light across the knee-high, sun-bleached grasses. A gentle afternoon breeze moves softly through the branches, carrying the steady, rhythmic hum of cicadas and the faint, sweet scent of sun-warmed earth and dry acacia bark. Amidst this quiet woodland, a young giraffe calf walks with a newfound grace, its long, spindly legs stepping with a steady, practiced rhythm. Months of growth have smoothed the awkwardness of its early days, bringing a remarkable improvement in balance and coordination. The calf moves a short distance away from the resting herd, pausing in a shaded clearing where the dappled light plays softly over its patterned coat. Its large, dark eyes, shaded by long, protective lashes, take in the surrounding trees with calm curiosity. Every movement reflects a growing confidence. The juvenile dips its head to test the texture of the soil beneath a hoof, then lifts it high, testing the reach of its lengthening neck. Around it, the mature trees stand like silent sentinels, their dense canopies offering refuge from the fading heat of the day. Soft hoofsteps rustle the fallen leaves as the calf explores the perimeter of the grove, lingering in the quiet spaces where the golden sunlight meets the cool, inviting shadows of the woods. Standing beneath the sprawling canopy, the true architectural marvel of the growing giraffe becomes wonderfully clear. The calf's proportions are shifting daily, stretching upward in a silent testament to evolutionary design. Those famously long legs, now sturdier and more balanced, act as living stilts that elevate the young herbivore far above the reach of smaller savanna dwellers. This remarkable height is not merely for looking out across the horizon, it is a specialized tool for survival. Supporting this stature is a lengthening neck, housing the exact same number of cervical vertebrae as a human, yet each bone is dramatically elongated. Specialized cardiovascular adaptations quietly support this towering form. Powerful valves within the jugular veins and a remarkably strong heart work in steady harmony to pump rich, oxygenated blood all the way up the vertical expanse against gravity. As the calf shifts its weight, adjusting its stance with unhurried grace, the sheer engineering of its skeletal frame is beautifully apparent. This magnificent height creates an exclusive ecological niche. While antelopes and zebras graze on grasses near the soil, the juvenile giraffe is built for a different layer of the habitat. Every centimeter added to its height unlocks fresh, untouched tiers of foliage high in the acacia trees. The long neck flexes with fluid ease, demonstrating a growing range of motion that prepares the young animal for a lifetime of browsing among the clouds. Bathed in the warm, waning amber light, the calf stands tall and serene, perfectly shaped for the high-altitude world awaiting its steady approach. High above the ground, framed against the golden late summer sky, the young giraffe prepares to harvest its meal, revealing one of nature's most fascinating anatomical adaptations. Slowly parting its lips, the calf extends a truly remarkable instrument, a long, muscular prehensile tongue, measuring up to 20 inches in length. This specialized appendage is deep blue-black in color. Heavily pigmented with melanin, the dark coloration acts as a natural sunblock, shielding the sensitive tissue from the intense ultraviolet rays of the scorching savanna sun during countless hours of daytime feeding. Watching closely, the juvenile learns to control this flexible tool with astonishing dexterity. Unlike humans, who rely on hands to gather food, the giraffe uses its tongue much like a delicate, probing finger. The calf reaches out, looping the muscular tip with practiced precision around a cluster of tender acacia leaves. It skillfully maneuvers past needle-sharp thorns, curling the muscle to strip the foliage cleanly from the stem in one smooth, sweeping motion. The inner lining of the mouth and the roof are similarly armored with hard, keratinized papillae, stiff, comb-like projections that protect against punctures from the sharpest acacia spikes, combined with thick, saliva-coated mucous membranes. These built-in defenses allow the young herbivore to feed safely on vegetation that other animals must leave untouched. With a gentle, rhythmic motion, the calf pulls the harvest inward, chewing slowly as the amber light filters through the canopy. Every movement is quiet and deliberate, governed by an ancient rhythm that has sustained this towering lineage through the ages. Every umbrella acacia stands as a fortress of defense, waging a silent botanical war against the herbivores of the savanna. Sharp, 3-inch thorns point in every direction, forming a formidable barrier designed to discourage hungry mouths. Yet, The acacia and the giraffe share a deep, evolutionary dance of give and take. As the calf begins its transition to solid leaves, it relies upon an ingenious defense system of its own, forged by millions of years of adaptation. Inside the young giraffe's mouth, specialized physiology neutralizes the lethal hazards of the branches. Copious amounts of thick, viscous saliva flood the oral cavity, acting as a natural lubricant that coats both the incoming vegetation and the delicate inner tissues. This heavy coating softens the sharp edges of any stray thorns that happen to slip past the tongue's embrace, cushioning the gums against accidental pokes. Furthermore, the skin lining the inside of the mouth and the esophagus is remarkably tough and thick, layered with resilient cells that easily withstand the abrasive friction of coarse bark and rigid stems. With every slow, deliberate chew, the calf safely breaks down the tough fibrous matter, extracting rich nutrients from leaves that most other animals cannot touch. The tree itself senses the gentle browsing and releases chemical warnings through the air, but the harm is minimal, and the relationship remains balanced. Surrounded by the rustling canopy and the soothing hum of late afternoon cicadas, the young animal rests its lower jaw, letting the peaceful warmth of the fading day wash over it. Safe within the armored embrace of the woodland, the juvenile digests its meal in absolute serenity. Just a few paces away, the towering form of the mother stands like a living monument of grace. The growing calf turns its attention away from its own meal, anchoring its large, dark eyes upon the adult. There is a profound stillness in the air as the juvenile watches the matriarch methodically select a high branch, her movements unhurried and precise. Every twitch of her ears and shift of her long neck communicates a quiet, reassuring instruction. Social learning in the giraffe world happens through patient observation. The calf steps closer, pressing its slender shoulder gently against its mother's warm flank, finding comfort in her solid presence. It mirrors the adult's posture, lifting its chin and angling its head upward toward a parallel bow. By mimicking the precise alignment of the mother's neck, the young giraffe begins to understand how to leverage its height. The mother reaches deep into the sun-drenched canopy, her dark tongue deftly weaving between sharp defenses to strip a cluster of tender, emerald leaves. Watching closely, the juvenile attempts to replicate the technique. It extends its own neck, reaching up toward a slightly lower cluster of foliage. Though the movements are still a bit tentative, the young animal successfully positions its head, coordinating the complex angles of spine and muscle with growing competence. A gentle afternoon breeze ripples through the acacia leaves, carrying the earthy scent of crushed green foliage and dry savanna soil. The cicadas continue their steady, hypnotic hum, weaving an acoustic blanket over the woodland. Side by side, the two giraffes move in a quiet, shared rhythm, the ancient traditions of the herd passing effortlessly from one generation to the next in the soft, golden light. As the late afternoon sun softens into hues of lavender and bruised bronze, the intense heat of the savanna finally begins to yield. A cooler breeze whispers through the woodland, rustling the feathery umbrella acacia leaves and bringing a welcome drop in temperature. Throughout the grove, the scattered individuals of the herd respond to the changing light. Their active foraging slows into a peaceful, rhythmic wandering as the family groups drift closer together beneath the darkening canopy. Social bonds strengthen in these quiet evening hours. The towering adults settle into comfortable postures, their long legs folded neatly beneath heavy bodies as they rest and ruminate. Nearby, the growing calf rests against its mother's warm flank, feeling the steady, calming beat of her heart. The day's rigorous lessons in anatomy, balance, and browsing have built a quiet confidence within the young animal. Its belly is full of tender green leaves, digested slowly through a specialized four-chambered stomach system that extracts every ounce of energy from the summer forage. Around them, the sounds of the day gently fade. The buzzing cicadas soften their steady hum, replaced by the deep, tranquil silence of the approaching twilight. The towering silhouettes of the acacias merge with the deepening shadows, creating a safe, sheltered haven for the resting herd. Safe within the circle of its family, the juvenile closes its heavy eyelids, surrendering to the deep, restorative stillness of the African night. The sun sinks low toward the western horizon, casting long, amber shadows across the parched plains. With a slow, deliberate grace, the herd of giraffes begins its descent into the wide, ancient expanse of a dry riverbed. Each towering silhouette cuts a familiar shape against the fading daylight, moving with a quiet, practiced ease born of generations traversing this arid land. Beneath heavy, split-hoof strides, the sun-baked earth yields just enough to send soft plumes of red dust rising into the warm evening air. This iron-rich soil hangs lazily in the stillness, catching the slanting rays of light and turning the atmosphere into a glowing, copper-tinted haze. In the center of the moving group, the juvenile giraffe steps carefully. Its long, slender legs navigate the sandy, uneven terrain with a growing confidence, mirroring the rhythmic pace of the older animals around it. Every movement is an exercise in energy conservation, a vital adaptation for an herbivore whose immense size demands careful regulation of exertion. The young animal's distinctive, mosaic-patterned coat glows softly in the amber light, absorbing the last warmth of the summer day. Around them, the landscape holds its breath. The sparse acacia scrub along the bank stands motionless, and the usual evening chatter of local birds softens into a hush. Dust motes drift gently downward, settling back onto the dry river stones as the herd flows onward like water through a channel that has known no moisture for months. There is no rush, only the steady, unified progression of family members linked by ancient migratory instincts, pressing onward into the deepening twilight. Across the open country, the mechanics of their travel reveal a masterclass in mammalian design. Unlike many other large quadrupeds that employ a diagonal trot or a bounding gallop, the giraffe moves with a distinct pacing gait. Both long legs on the right side move forward in unison, followed seamlessly by the pair on the left. This lateral sequence prevents the massive neck from swaying too violently, maintaining an innate balance that defies the animal's towering height. The juvenile effortlessly matches this rhythmic, swinging motion. Its slender limbs reach out in a measured cadence, covering the ground with deceptive speed while expending remarkably little energy. Each footfall is placed with quiet deliberation upon the sun-baked earth, absorbing the subtle undulations of the terrain. This fluid, rocking locomotion transforms vast distances into manageable stretches, a crucial survival trait when foraging paths span arid miles between dwindling resources. High shoulders roll gently beneath patterned skin, acting as natural pendulums that drive the stride forward. The juvenile watches the matriarch just ahead, synchronizing its breathing and pacing to the older female's measured tempo. There is an ancient, meditative quality to the movement, a steady swinging of long limbs through the copper-hued dusk that feels as timeless as the earth itself. Every step is an unhurried negotiation with gravity, smooth and continuous, carrying the young traveler forward into the approaching night with effortless grace. A sudden, silky draft sweeps across the plain, bringing with it a profound alteration in the evening air. It is a breath borne miles away, carrying the sharp electrical tang of ozone and the rich, mineral scent of damp earth lifted by distant downpours. Up ahead, the matriarch stops her steady advance. Her long, dark-fringed eyelashes flutter, and her ears swivel independently, capturing sounds far beyond the immediate horizon. She tilts her towering head upward, nostrils flaring to sample the shifting currents. Beside her, the other adult giraffes mirror the gesture, holding their statuesque forms perfectly still against the copper sky. Their highly sensitive nasal passages and specialized inner ears are designed to detect atmospheric changes, registering the subtle drop in barometric pressure that precedes a desert storm. The juvenile watches these postural adjustments closely, absorbing the silent language of the herd. Without a single vocalization, the young giraffe understands the cue. It mimics the older female, lifting its chin and turning its face into the cooler current, breathing in the mysterious perfume of rain arriving in a parched land. This sensory network operates as an ancient survival tool, linking every member of the group to the broader rhythms of the ecosystem. The low, subterranean vibration of thunder rolls through the earth once more, no longer just a sound, but a felt resonance that travels up through the sensitive pads of their split hooves. The juvenile stands quietly in the fading light, its tall silhouette merging with the tranquil evening, feeling the pulse of the weather as the landscape takes its first deep breath of relief. Out along the far edge of the fading horizon, where the copper sky dissolves into twilight, a low and barely audible rumble begins to roll across the plains. This is not a sound meant for human ears alone, but a profound acoustic wave felt just as much through the sensitive, cushioned soles of the hooves against the sun-baked earth. The ground itself seems to hum with a secret energy, carrying the slow, deep vibration of a gathering tempest miles away. Distant storm clouds, bruised and heavy with moisture, build rapidly against the darkening sky, painting the upper atmosphere in deep, soothing shades of violet and charcoal gray. Yet, despite the approaching turmoil of the elements, the giraffes remain entirely unruffled. They stand as quiet sentinels against the gathering dusk, their calm demeanor demonstrating a profound, generational familiarity with the cyclical rhythms of the seasonal rains. They know this distant percussion does not signal danger, but rather the long-awaited renewal of the parched land beneath them. The juvenile giraffe watches the towering adults closely, absorbing their serene stillness. Where a younger or less experienced animal might startle at the unfamiliar subterranean thunder, the young animal reads the tranquil posture of the matriarch and lets its own heart rate slow. There is a quiet wisdom woven into the very fabric of the herd, a shared understanding that the changing skies bring life to the thirsty acacias and relief to the dusty plains. The landscape holds its breath in the cooling air, waiting for the first heavy drops to fall from the darkening canopy above. As the final rim of the sun dips below the horizon, the blazing orange and copper tones of the savanna soften into a vast expanse of cool twilight blues and purples. The daytime heat fades gracefully, replaced by the gentle hush of the approaching night. Long, graceful shadows stretch endlessly across the grasslands, wrapping the dry earth and scattered shrubs in a blanket of quiet indigo. The juvenile giraffe pauses near the wide trunk of a large umbrella thorn tree, its delicate, dark-fringed eyelids blinking against the dimming light. It takes a quiet moment to survey the tranquil horizon, watching the colors gently shift across the open plains while the rest of the herd continues onward at a measured, unhurried pace. Their long legs move in a steady, synchronized rhythm, blending seamlessly into the dusky landscape. A soft, cool draft brushes through the fine hairs of the young giraffe's coat, carrying the clean, unmistakable scent of approaching rain. High above, the first evening doves settle into silence, and the faint, rhythmic chirping of crickets begins to rise from the cooling grass. The ground beneath its hooves feels pleasantly firm and cool, losing the harsh dryness of the midday sun. Without any sense of urgency, the juvenile turns its head, matching its stride once more to the gentle movement of the family. The world grows quiet and still, cradled in the deep, peaceful embrace of the evening, waiting patiently for the rain to awaken the thirsty earth. The lead matriarch gently changes course, guiding the family toward the sprawling, overlapping branches of a dense acacia grove. This natural canopy offers a quiet sanctuary, buffering the gentle breeze that now whispers through the fine, feathery leaves. The towering trees stand like ancient guardians against the darkening sky, their broad crowns creating a layered shelter that softens the open expanse of the plains. Beneath this protective foliage, the ground is carpeted with a soft mulch of fallen pods and dried twigs, absorbing the last echoes of their cautious footsteps. The herd converges slowly, their long silhouettes melting into the shadows as they find their resting places among the trunks. Standing close together, the animals share body warmth and a profound sense of communal security, their rhythmic breathing blending into a single, soothing cadence. The juvenile giraffe settles beside its mother, tucking its slender legs beneath its body in a fluid, practiced motion. It rests its long neck in a graceful, resting curve, lowering its head toward its flank. The rising scent of damp earth and crushed acacia leaves drifts lazily in the still air, promising relief for the dry plains. High in the branches above, the rustling leaves act as a gentle acoustic filter, turning the outside world into a distant, muffled hum. The crickets maintain their steady, hypnotic chorus from the cooling grass, weaving a tapestry of sound that wraps the resting animals in a cocoon of quiet safety. In this sheltered haven, the tension of the long journey dissolves completely, leaving only the deep, restorative peace of the sleeping savanna. The heavy, breathless heat of the summer afternoon begins to lift across the sun-baked savanna. For weeks, the ecosystem has endured an intense dry spell, forcing wildlife to conserve precious moisture. But high above the acacia woodland, a profound atmospheric shift is underway. Dark, slate-gray clouds build rapidly along the distant horizon, rolling inward like a slow-moving tide and blotting out the glaring sun. This dramatic accumulation of moisture brings an immediate, welcome drop in temperature. A gentle wind stirs through the thorny canopy, carrying the unmistakable chill of distant precipitation. As the barometric pressure falls, the stillness of the landscape gives way to a soft rustling of leaves and the low, collective settling of resting herds. Standing tall amid the sheltering acacias, the young juvenile giraffe pauses, raising its long neck toward the darkening sky. Its large, dark eyes take in the changing horizon, and its sensitive ears twitch at the low, distant rumble of thunder. Decades of evolutionary adaptation have attuned these magnificent animals to the subtle cues of seasonal change, signaling that relief from the arid heat is finally approaching. The air grows thick with humidity and anticipation. Insects quiet their buzzing, and the wide expanse of the open plain holds its breath beneath the growing canopy of clouds. Every branch and blade of grass seems to lean into the rising breeze, waiting for the first cool drops to touch the thirsty earth. The stage is set for the great transformation of the seasonal rains, promising a sweeping renewal of life across the golden plains. The silence breaks with a single, heavy droplet striking a parched acacia leaf. Moments later, a second follows, then a third, until the dry canopy whispers with the sound of incoming water. The sky opens fully, releasing a steady, refreshing shower across the open savanna. For the juvenile giraffe, this sudden downpour is a deeply calming experience. Cool raindrops patter against its uniquely patterned hide, washing away the stubborn dust of the dry season. Each spot on its coat, a complex network of patches engineered to dissipate body heat, now serves as a channel for the descending moisture. Rather than fleeing the storm, the young mammal stands entirely still, embracing the soothing chill. Its long legs remain firmly planted in the dampening soil as water droplets roll gently down the sweeping curve of its neck. A giraffe's specialized cardiovascular system, which works tirelessly to pump blood up against gravity, now relaxes as the ambient temperature plummets. Vasodilation in the skin allows the cool water to efficiently lower the juvenile's core body temperature, bringing deep, physical relief. The surrounding air fills with the sharp, earthy fragrance of petrichor as the dry earth drinks deeply. This unmistakable scent rises from the soil, created by plant oils released during the long drought and mixed with geosmin from awakening soil microbes. The juvenile breathes in the rich, clean air, its chest rising and falling in a slow, tranquil rhythm. Around it, the savanna transforms under the steady gray veil of rain. The rushing water cleanses the foliage, turning the dusty plains into a shimmering, vibrant landscape. Standing tall and unhurried, the young giraffe lets the monsoon wash over it, surrendering completely to the quiet comfort of the storm. Beneath the tall limbs of the acacia, the relentless downpour reaches the ground, where the parched savanna floor receives the long-awaited moisture. Millions of tiny droplets strike the baked clay, breaking apart and sinking quickly into the thirsty earth. This rapid saturation triggers a chemical awakening within the soil. Actinobacteria, dormant through the scorching months of summer, suddenly spring into activity, releasing geosmin into the damp air, blended with aromatic plant oils that settled into the dust over weeks of drought. This rich, comforting scent of petrichor drifts upward on the gentle evening breeze, enveloping the young giraffe in a deeply grounding perfume. As the earth drinks its fill, tiny puddles begin to form across the open grassy plains, pooling in the deep hoof prints of migrating herds and reflecting the bruised purple bellies of the passing clouds. The soil transitions from a dusty, sun-cracked crust into a soft, fertile carpet that yields quietly beneath each heavy step. Earthworms and ground-dwelling insects stir beneath the surface, responding instantly to the sudden shift in moisture and temperature. The juvenile watches the spreading water with heavy, half-closed eyelids. It lowers its head slightly to breathe in the revitalized air, letting the fragrant, rain-washed breeze wash over its sensitive nostrils. The landscape around it is completely transformed, muted and softened by the gentle gray veil of the evening storm. Here, in the quiet embrace of the monsoon, the earth rests, renewed and full of hidden life, sinking deeper into a peaceful, cooling slumber as the rain continues its steady, rhythmic lullaby across the plains. High above the soaked earth, the life-giving water works its quiet alchemy upon the umbrella acacias. For months, the towering trees have conserved their energy, holding fast against the blistering summer heat with tough, protective bark and dormant buds. But now, touched by the steady, nourishing deluge, a remarkable transformation unfolds along the sprawling branches. The heavy rain washes away weeks of accumulated dust from the feathery leaves, rinsing the dark green canopies until they shine beneath the dimming evening sky. This sudden influx of moisture triggers a rapid surge of sap through the xylem vessels of the trees. Within the interconnected root networks, stored nutrients are mobilized and rushed upward to the outermost twigs, fueling an accelerated cycle of cellular division. Almost before the eye can trace the change, tender new shoots begin to unfurl. Tiny, vibrant green leaves, rich in moisture and packed with precious proteins, burst forth from the dark wood. The canopy, once muted and gray under the drought, softens into a lush tapestry of emerald growth. Across the branching crown, delicate blossoms, long delayed by the dry spell, push open their petals in response to the atmospheric humidity. The acacia woodland breathes out a subtle, sweet perfume that mingles with the damp scent of the soil below. It is a biological awakening driven by absolute necessity, transforming the rigid, defensive architecture of the trees into a bountiful garden. Every branch becomes weighed down with fresh, succulent forage, perfectly timed to sustain the wildlife of the open savanna through the heart of the wet season. Drawing near to one of the revitalized acacias, the young giraffe pauses to inspect the sudden bounty swaying gently in the damp evening breeze. Its long, dark tongue, stretching nearly half a meter in length, protrudes with remarkable dexterity, designed by evolution to navigate the sharp, defensive thorns that still guard the branches. This specialized muscular organ is remarkably tough and flexible, coated in thick saliva that protects delicate mouth tissues from prickles while allowing the juvenile to delicately loop around the newest stems. With a smooth, practiced sweep, the juvenile pulls a cluster of tender shoots toward its mouth. The prehensile tip curls securely around a stem bursting with moisture, stripping the nutrient-dense foliage from the twig in a single fluid motion. Each mouthful is rich with the vital proteins and sugars mobilized by the tree's sudden surge of sap, offering an abundance of nourishment after months of dry season scarcity. As the juvenile chews slowly, the rhythmic motion generates a quiet, grounding sound that blends into the gentle hum of the post-storm insects. The high water content of the fresh leaves quenches the final traces of summer thirst, while the rich dietary intake fuels its growing frame. Every stretch of the long neck and every sweep of the dark tongue represents a seamless adaptation to the rhythmic pulse of the savanna. Surrounded by the glistening greenery and breathing in the cool, rain-washed air, the young animal feeds at a peaceful, unhurried pace, wholly embraced by the quiet abundance of the evening. Above the undulating canopy, the heavy gray clouds begin to part, rolling away toward the distant horizon as twilight softly settles over the vast African plains. The setting sun breaks through the dispersing mist, casting a warm, amber glow across a glistening landscape where every blade of grass and emerald leaf sparkles with lingering droplets of rain. The air is remarkably still, save for the gentle rustling of leaves as water gently drips from the boughs to the dark, damp earth below. The juvenile giraffe pauses its steady feeding, lifting its long head to survey the tranquil horizon. Fully nourished and deeply hydrated by the seasonal downpour, the young animal feels the comforting heaviness of a well-earned rest. Finding a sheltered patch of earth beneath a sturdy acacia, the juvenile gracefully folds its long limbs, lowering its substantial frame to the soft ground in a fluid, deliberate motion. Its folded legs tuck neatly beneath its chest, and its long neck curves back in a gentle, resting arc. The steady hum of awakening evening insects creates a soft, natural lullaby, blending seamlessly with the whispering wind. With slow, rhythmic breaths, the young giraffe closes its large, dark eyes, surrendering to the peaceful quiet of the night. The savanna around it rests too, transformed by the life-giving waters into a sanctuary of abundance, wrapped in the cool, comforting embrace of the post-storm evening. The heavy heat of the summer savanna lingers long after the sun dips below the horizon, wrapping the landscape in a thick, humid stillness. A million crickets begin their steady, rhythmic hum, weaving a continuous acoustic blanket that vibrates through the warm night air. Above, a sprawling canopy of brilliant stars pierces the velvet darkness, casting a soft, silvery glow over the acacia-dotted plains. Amidst this nocturnal symphony, the young giraffe stands tall, a graceful silhouette against the fading twilight. Though nearly fully grown, this juvenile still seeks the quiet reassurance of the herd. The atmosphere is dense with the rich scent of damp earth and crushed sage, carrying the subtle, distant sounds of the wild, a soft hoot of a barn owl drifting across the open grass, and the faint, low rumble of a lion echoing from miles away. Even in the profound darkness, the juvenile remains acutely aware. Its long, dark-lashed eyelids droop only slightly as it settles into a deeply rooted standing posture. Giraffes rarely require deep, prolonged sleep, a vital adaptation for animals constantly vulnerable to predators. By remaining upright, the juvenile can engage in short, restorative bursts of rapid eye movement sleep while its powerful legs stay locked and steady. A gentle summer breeze rustles the dry grass below, carrying the collective warmth of the herd. Older, towering females flank the youngster on either side, forming an unbroken wall of quiet vigilance. The night deepens, slow and undisturbed, as the juvenile breathes in the heavy air, perfectly attuned to the gentle, rhythmic heartbeat of the African night. To understand how the juvenile can rest so securely while standing, one must look to the remarkable architecture of its long legs. Lying down on the open savanna is a high-risk endeavor for a giraffe. Rising from the ground requires precious seconds, seconds that mean the difference between safety and an ambush. To bypass this danger, evolution has engineered a sophisticated biological locking system within the juvenile skeletal framework. Specialized tendons, ligaments, and stabilizing muscles work together in a synchronized mechanism, acting much like internal braces. When the young giraffe settles into its resting posture, these anatomical structures lock the knee and ankle joints into place. This clever physiological adaptation bears the immense weight of its towering body with virtually zero muscular effort. The heavy bones stack vertically, supported entirely by tension and geometry rather than active exertion. Protected by this natural scaffolding, the juvenile enters a state of profound stillness. Its brain drifts into brief, restorative pockets of rapid eye movement sleep, lasting only a few minutes at a time. During these fleeting cycles, the young animal's long neck might droop slightly forward, yet its legs remain rigid as marble pillars. Surrounded by the comforting presence of the sleeping herd, the juvenile rests in suspended equilibrium. It is a brilliant design of survival, a living monument of bone and sinew that can sleep deeply while standing completely upright, perfectly poised against the uncertainties of the dark African night. Even in total darkness, when the shadows of the acacia trees merge into a single veil of ink, the herd remains intimately connected. They do not need to see one another to know they are safe. Across the black expanse of the humid plain, an invisible network of sound binds them together, operating on a frequency far below the threshold of human hearing. Long considered silent animals, giraffes possess a complex acoustic vocabulary rooted in infrasound, producing deep, resonant hums and frequency-modulated roars below 20 Hz. These gentle giants communicate through vibrations that ripple across the earth and through the heavy night air. These low-frequency waves are uniquely suited for the sprawling savanna, unlike high-pitched calls that easily scatter or become blocked by dense foliage. Infrasonic waves bend around obstacles and travel vast distances. As the juvenile rests on its locked legs, a subtle vibration passes through the ground beneath its hooves. A mature female on the perimeter of the group emits a long, modulated hum, a low rhythmic resonance humming at just 14 Hz. It is an acoustic beacon, a quiet check-in that echoes softly through the darkness to reassure the scattered members of the family group. The juvenile's large ears swivel effortlessly, catching the lingering acoustic waves. Its sensitive skin and specialized bone structures also detect the seismic vibrations traveling up from the soil. Without opening its eyes, the young giraffe responds, sending out its own low murmur. This biological internet of infrasonic whispers maintains unbroken herd cohesion beneath the stars, allowing the giants to drift through the midnight hours as one unified, watchful organism cradled in the quiet hum of the African summer. Yet, beneath the soothing cadence of the infrasonic hums, the savanna retains its ancient, untamed tension. Drifting lazily across the humid summer air, a distant sound cuts through the steady, rhythmic chorus of the crickets. It is the low, chest-deep rumble of a male lion, rolling like thunder across the dark horizon. Though miles away, the acoustic pressure wave carries through the night, a sharp reminder of the silent dangers that prowl the shadows. Instantly, the peaceful atmosphere shifts. The response within the herd is not panic, but a profound, synchronized awakening of awareness. Across the clearing, the juvenile giraffe ceases its drifting slumber. Without fully breaking its locked leg posture, the young male's ears snap forward, pivoting independently to map the acoustic landscape. Its long neck lifts just a fraction of an inch, the skin tightening over powerful muscles as every sense tunes to the surrounding dark. Beside it, the mature female adjusts her stance, shifting her massive weight to align her silhouette against the star-strewn skyline. This instinctive vigilance is a masterclass in survival. Giraffes possess large, expressive eyes adapted for gathering every stray photon of starlight, but at midnight, their safety relies heavily on this shared perimeter of heightened attention. A collective breath seems to pass through the family group. They do not scatter or flee. Instead, they stand statuesque and resolute, anchoring themselves to the earth. They analyze the cadence and direction of the distant call, measuring the distance to the threat. As the lion's voice fades into a quiet, rumbling sigh against the tall grass, the underlying tension softens. The herd relaxes in unison, slipping back into their protective, watchful stillness, cradled once more by the gentle summer wind. With the threat dissolved into the quiet rustling of the grass, the herd settles once more into the humid embrace of the summer night. For the juvenile giraffe, this fragile window of calm offers a rare biological necessity, true, profound slumber. While the adults maintain their watchful vigil, the young male succumbs to an overwhelming wave of exhaustion, slowly, defying the rigid posture that has sustained him through the evening. He begins to yield to sleep. In a motion of astonishing flexibility, the juvenile curves his exceptionally long neck backward, gracefully resting his heavy head against his own flank. This vulnerable posture, reminiscent of a swan folding into its feathers, is a luxury afforded only to the youngest members of the herd. Adult giraffes rarely risk this deep sleep position, knowing it delays their escape by precious seconds. Yet here, cradled by the quiet presence of his family, the young male surrenders to the darkness. For brief, fleeting minutes, his nervous system shifts, his breathing deepens, slowing to match the gentle cadence of the wind. In this quiet interval, he experiences the mammalian wonder of rapid eye movement sleep. His eyelids flutter softly, dreaming perhaps of sunlit acacia canopies and endless green leaves. His massive body, usually a monument of towering alertness, relaxes into stillness against the dark earth. These cycles of restorative rest are remarkably brief, lasting only a few minutes before the ancestral instinct of self-preservation gently nudges him awake. Lifting his heavy head with a smooth, unfolding motion, he rights his long neck and resumes his watchful standing pose. The brief dream has passed, leaving him refreshed and seamlessly reintegrated into the silent, vigilant unity of the sleeping savanna. High above the sleeping savanna, the celestial tapestry slowly drifts westward. Constellations wheel across the velvet expanse of the summer sky, marking the silent passage of the midnight hours. The gentle wind softens, carrying the faint, sweet scent of dry earth and cooling acacia leaves. Nature itself seems to pause, wrapped in a deep, humid stillness that blankets the vast African plains in profound tranquility. In this quiet hour, the young giraffe stands tall once more, his silhouette merging seamlessly with the towering trunks of the surrounding trees. The brief summer night is already beginning its slow, imperceptible turn toward the dawn. Though autumn lingers far on the horizon, a subtle shift in the air whispers of the changing seasons yet to come, a gentle cooling of the wind, a promise of transformation woven into the ancient rhythms of the wild. For now, the herd remains anchored in stillness. The adults doze on their feet, pillars of quiet strength guarding the darkness, while the juvenile looks out across the moonlit expanse. His nervous system hums with a quiet, renewed resilience, shaped by millions of years of evolutionary grace. He is safe within the collective vigilance of his family, bonded by invisible waves of infrasound in the shared heartbeat of the plains. The crickets continue their rhythmic, soporific chorus, a steady pulse guiding the world toward morning. Under the vast, starry canopy, the giant rests easy in the dark, perfectly attuned to the endless horizon that stretches out infinitely before him, waiting patiently for the first golden rays of a new day. Before the first pale streak of dawn touches the horizon, a profound stillness rests over the open savanna. Yet, the air carries a new, unfamiliar crispness. Summer's heavy warmth has dissolved, replaced by the subtle, steady chill of an arriving autumn. A light, dry wind sweeps across the vast, golden plains, carrying with it the earthy scent of curing grasses and cooling earth. As the autumn breeze whispers through the drying stems, it sets off a gentle, rhythmic rustling across the landscape, like a soft amber ocean settling into rest. In the distance, the low, mournful coo of a dove drifts on the wind, punctuating the quietude of the pre-dawn hours. Beneath this changing sky, the herd stands in deep, conserving repose. For a young subadult giraffe, no longer a small, vulnerable calf, but a towering, long-limbed juvenile, the dropping temperatures demand a physiological shift. Mammalian bodies of this scale radiate heat across a vast surface area, and the sudden autumn chill triggers an immediate, instinctual tightening of blood vessels in the long legs and slender neck to preserve core warmth. The subadult stirs slightly from its standing rest, folding and unfolding its long joints as a low, almost imperceptible infrasonic hum vibrates through the ground from nearby herd members. These deep-frequency communications maintain a quiet cohesion among the scattered silhouettes in the dim light. The wind brushes against the dense, tawny patches of the young giraffe's coat, a coat now noticeably thicker and better suited to guard against the turning season. Everything is quiet, patient, and suspended in the cool, breathing dark of the early morning. To manage a frame that now stretches nearly 15 feet toward the brightening sky, the subadult must execute a careful, deliberate sequence of movements. Rising from a standing rest position requires precise biomechanical coordination, especially as the morning cold settles into the joints. The young giraffe shifts its weight backward, gently unlocking the rigid column of its forelegs. With slow, measured grace, it extends its elongated neck forward to counterbalance the massive shift in center of gravity. Each long limb adjusts in a precise, fluid rhythm, minimizing energy expenditure while waking dormant muscles. This morning stretch is essential for thermoregulation. As the joints flex and extend, synovial fluid circulates through the large knee and hock structures, lubricating the cartilage after hours of stationary resting in the chilly breeze. The skin, tight over powerful shoulders, ripples slightly as the animal rolls its massive neck in a wide, sweeping arc. Every vertebra in the cervical spine, each one identical in number to those of much smaller mammals, yet vastly elongated, aligns as the subadult tests its range of motion. The dark, prehensile tongue curls instinctively within the mouth, a brief reflex of waking, before the head lifts high to catch the scent of the drying grasses carried on the wind. Without a sound, the subadult settles its hooves firmly onto the frost-dusted earth. The subtle hoof steps are muffled by the thick carpet of autumn vegetation, quiet and deliberate. Fully upright and alert, the towering juvenile stands balanced against the morning, its lengthening frame now completely attuned to the crisp, open world around it. Fully upright on the frost-dusted earth, the subadult does not immediately turn back toward the familiar, protective silhouette of its mother. Instead, a gentle, inquisitive shift occurs within the young animal's developing mind. Standing nearly 15 feet tall, it experiences a new perspective on the autumn savanna, one measured not by the constant shadow of maternal guidance, but by the open space stretching between them. For the first time, the spatial boundary that has defined its entire life begins to expand. The subadult takes a soft, measured step forward, parting the drying golden grass stems with quiet, deliberate hoof steps, 10 paces separated from the maternal side, then 12. This gradual increase in distance is a natural milestone in subadult development, driven by a quiet, instinctive urge to test its own footing in a widening world. The mother remains grazing nearby, her massive form a comforting anchor against the horizon. Yet she does not intervene as her offspring drifts slightly further into the crisp air. Giraffes are non-territorial animals, navigating fluid social structures where associations constantly shift and reshape. By allowing this extra space, the mother fosters essential independence, permitting the juvenile to practice autonomous decision-making. The subadult pauses, its long ears flicking backward to catch the familiar, low infrasonic hum of the herd, reassuring it of safety even at this new, wider radius. The autumn wind sweeps gently across its flanks, carrying the scent of acacia and dust. Alone, yet secure within the loose, sprawling network of relatives, the maturing giraffe lowers its head slightly to sample the nearest clump of grass, savoring the quiet confidence of its very first independent strides. Beyond the immediate circle of maternal care, the broader tapestry of the herd reveals itself in the dim, pearlescent light. Giraffe societies are famously fluid, characterized by fission-fusion dynamics where individuals drift together and apart without rigid territories or permanent bands. Within this sprawling, loose association, several other subadults and peripheral females forage quietly among the scattered umbrella thorns. Sensing these nearby presences, the young giraffe lifts its head, its dark, fringed eyes tracking the subtle silhouettes of unfamiliar herd mates. A few yards away, a slightly older male stands solitary, practicing the sparring neck slaps of adolescence against a sturdy acacia trunk, though his movements are still unhurried in the chill dawn. The subadult observes this distant display with a calm, unbothered curiosity. These peripheral associations provide vital social learning, allowing the growing animal to test communication signals, body postures, and dominance cues without the high stakes of adult conflict. Subtle head tilts and low-frequency rumblings, pitched below the threshold of human hearing, ripple through the group, reinforcing social bonds across invisible acoustic bridges. The subadult responds with a gentle flick of its black-tipped tail, acknowledging the shared presence of its kin. There is no urgency in these interactions, only a quiet, rhythmic alignment with the collective heartbeat of the plains. As the first pale rays of sunlight begin to stain the eastern sky amber, the young giraffe settles comfortably into this wider circle, feeling the steady, reassuring safety of the herd expand to embrace its growing independence. Yet, even within the comforting embrace of the herd, survival upon the open savanna demands an unceasing, quiet vigilance. As the deep indigo of the pre-dawn sky begins to soften into a pale, pearlescent gray, the subadult giraffe pauses its gentle browsing. Its long ears swivel independently, catching every whisper of the crisp autumn wind and the faint, dry rustle of grass stems bending beneath unseen paws. Vision is a giraffe's primary sentinel. Perched nearly 15 feet above the ground, the young animal possesses a panoramic view of the drying golden plains. Its large, dark eyes, shaded by thick, protective lashes, meticulously scan the horizon where the earth meets the hazy sky. In this liminal hour between night and day, shadows stretch and distort, transforming motionless acacia bushes into ambiguous shapes. The subadult holds its slender neck entirely still, letting its gaze linger on a distant cluster of rocks where the terrain dips toward a dry riverbed. This hyper-awareness is governed by ancient instincts. Though fully equipped with powerful, bone-crushing kicks capable of deterring opportunistic predators, a subadult must constantly assess its surroundings for the subtle signs of movement that betray a stalking apex predator. The cool morning air carries scent particles efficiently, and the young giraffe flares its dark nostrils, testing the breeze for any foreign musk. A low, soft mourning dove calls out from a nearby thorn tree, its melancholic notes hanging suspended in the still air, confirming that the immediate vicinity holds no sudden alarm. Satisfied by the stillness of the awakening plains, the subadult slowly exhales, releasing a visible plume of warm breath into the chilly atmosphere. The tension in its long legs eases, yet the quiet watchfulness remains embedded in its posture, a silent testament to the perpetual balance between peaceful independence and the timeless vigilance required to thrive in the wild. Far across the eastern expanse, the deep gray horizon begins to flush with a delicate, amber warmth. The first horizontal rays of the emerging sun stretch long and golden across the drying plains, slipping silently through the intricate, flat-topped canopy of the umbrella thorn acacias. These initial brushes of daylight offer a gentle, radiant contrast to the lingering chill of the pre-dawn winds, painting the tall grass stems in shades of copper and pale bronze. As the morning light deepens, it warms the thick, patterned coat of the subadult giraffe, activating millions of specialized blood vessels just beneath the skin to help regulate its core temperature after the cold night. The intricate network of vessels, known scientifically as a rete mirabile, gently adjusts to the rising ambient heat, ensuring a smooth physiological transition from the shivering hours of darkness into the gentle warmth of the new day. Bathed in this soft, amber glow, the surrounding herd begins to stir more purposefully. Heads lift in unison from resting positions, and long, dark blue tongues instinctively reach out to test the surrounding air for the sweet, fragrant oils of fresh acacia leaves. The subadult takes a slow, deliberate step forward, its elongated shadow stretching out long and graceful across the dew-kissed ground. The quiet stillness of the early dawn yields softly to the rhythms of the day, inviting the young animal to take its place among the scattered trees and begin the peaceful search for morning sustenance. The first pale fingers of dawn stretch across the open woodland, painting the dew-kissed grasses in soft shades of amber and gold. A crisp autumn wind whispers gently through the canopy, carrying the earthy scent of dry leaves and rich soil. From deep within the grove, the low, resonant cooing of distant mourning doves drifts softly on the morning air. Moving with a fluid, measured grace, a subadult giraffe steps into a sunlit clearing. At this transitional stage of life, standing taller than the surrounding bushes yet still slighter than the matriarchs, the young animal navigates the terrain with a quiet, observant curiosity. Its coat, patterned in rich chestnut patches outlined in pale cream, blends seamlessly with the shifting shadows of the awakening trees. Soft snorts ripple through the cool morning as the herd begins to rouse, their long legs shifting rhythmically against the rustling underbrush. The subadult pauses near the edge of an umbrella acacia, drawn toward the crown where autumn foliage burns brightest. Every step is deliberate, accompanied by the quiet snapping of fallen twigs beneath heavy, cushioned hooves. This is a time of delicate calibration. The growing herbivore must sustain a massive frame through countless hours of browsing, yet it does so with unhurried tranquility. As the morning warmth slowly builds, casting long, peaceful shadows across the landscape, the young giraffe raises its head toward the high branches. It stands poised beneath the amber canopy, perfectly attuned to the rhythm of the season, ready to begin the gentle ritual of the morning meal. Before the young giraffe reaches its velvet-dusted muzzle into the waiting branches, a remarkable physiological tool prepares for its task. The animal extends a dark, deeply pigmented tongue that stretches over 40 centimeters in length. This extraordinary organ is muscular, highly flexible, and uniquely adapted to withstand the hazards of the thorny canopy. Its deep bluish-black and purple coloration provides natural melanin protection against the intense African sun, shielding delicate tissue during countless hours of daylight foraging. With practiced precision, the tongue extends outward, looping in a fluid, purposeful arc around a tender cluster of amber-toned acacia leaves. It bypasses sharp, 2-inch thorns with astonishing dexterity, treating the defensive spikes merely as obstacles to weave around rather than barriers to entry. The mechanics are smooth and deliberate. The tongue curls tightly against the stem, gathering the foliage and drawing it inward toward the mouth in a single, unbroken motion. Inside the oral cavity, specialized anatomical defenses take over, The lips and the inner lining of the mouth are heavily armored with hard, conical papillae, tough, keratinized projections that act like a natural suit of armor. These stiff, finger-like structures protect the tender gums and cheeks from punctures as the branches are pulled through. Behind this protective barrier, broad, flat molars wait to grind the fibrous material down. As the subadult closes its mouth, thick, copious saliva coats the abrasive plant matter, lubricating the sharp edges and neutralizing minor chemical deterrents before the nourishment passes down the long, graceful curve of the neck. Morning light now illuminates the upper tiers of the acacia, casting a warm, golden glow across the most nutrient-rich foliage. The subadult pauses its feeding arc, lifting its head slightly to survey the outer canopy where new seasonal growth concentrates valuable proteins and sugars. Instead of stripping older, woodier stems deep within the tree, the young herbivore demonstrates careful selection, intentionally choosing tender, amber-tinted shoots near the absolute tips of the branches. These distal leaves offer the highest energetic return for the day, fueling a growing body while minimizing the intake of dense, difficult-to-digest cellulose. Navigating this outer zone requires absolute precision, bringing the animal's velvety muzzle into immediate contact with a dense array of razor-sharp white thorns. Yet, nature provides effortless physical shielding. Thick, cascading eyelashes frame heavy eyelids, forming a natural physical barrier that droops gracefully over large, dark eyes. These robust lashes sweep aside stray twigs and barbed spines with every deliberate blink, keeping the sensitive surface completely safe from accidental punctures. Above the eyes, bony ossicones tilt forward slightly as the head angles into the brush, completing an armored profile designed for survival in a thorny world. Protected by these specialized adaptations, the subadult continues its rhythmic harvest in absolute tranquility. Each targeted pluck is measured and unhurried, perfectly attuned to the gentle sway of the autumn branches. The quiet woodland hums softly around the towering browser, cradled by the crisp, cool air of dawn, inviting a deep sense of stillness and rest. High above the woodland floor, a silent chemical message drifts through the crisp autumn wind. When browsing pressure intensifies on a single acacia branch, the tree responds instantly to protect its remaining canopy. It pumps bitter and astringent tannins into its foliage while simultaneously releasing an invisible plume of ethylene gas into the air. This airborne warning travels downwind to neighboring trees, signaling them to synthesize their own unpalatable chemical defenses before the browsers even arrive. Sensing the sudden shift in taste on its tongue, the subadult giraffe pauses its rhythmic feeding. The familiar sweet flavor of tender amber leaves gives way to an unmistakable astringent dryness, a natural cue that tells the young herbivore it is time to move on. Rather than forcing digestion through chemically defended foliage, the animal lifts its long neck in a fluid, unhurried motion, letting the half-stripped twigs spring softly back into place. To anticipate the tree's silent warnings, the growing giraffe instinctively turns into the gentle breeze. Walking slowly against the cool draft ensures that the scent of ethylene gas and the defensive alarms of the acacia grove remain behind them, carried safely away on the wind. With each deliberate, swaying stride over the rustling, dry leaves, the subadult drifts toward a fresh, untroubled pocket of the woodland. The soft, rhythmic snapping of twigs fades into the background as the animal settles into a peaceful, unhurried cadence, once again finding harmony with the rhythm of the waking autumn landscape. Stepping quietly across the amber-strewn earth, the subadult does not travel alone. Feeding high in the open woodland is never a solitary act of abandonment, but a shared, harmonious endeavor. Nearby, another member of the loose herd pauses beside a rustling acacia, its long silhouette etched against the pale peach light of dawn. Communication among these towering herbivores relies on subtle visual cues and a synchronized rhythm of environmental awareness. While one animal reaches high into the canopy to curl its dark tongue around a tender spray of autumn leaves, the others softly scan the horizon. A gentle, low-frequency snort ripples through the crisp morning air, a quiet reassurance that all is calm. The sub-adult matches this unhurried tempo. It lowers its head for a brief moment of rest, chewing the fibrous green payload with a slow, sideways motion of its jaw. Saliva rich in specialized proteins coats the rough plant matter, neutralizing lingering tannins and aiding digestion as the animal gazes peacefully across the sunlit clearing. There is an effortless coordination to their movements. When the lead adult takes a few measured steps forward, the rest of the group drifts alongside in an unbroken, floating cadence. They take turns browsing and watching, balancing the deep biological need for nutrition with constant, effortless vigilance. Distant mourning doves murmur from a neighboring thorn tree, blending with the soft snapping of twigs underfoot as the gentle giants share the quiet responsibilities of the new day. As the golden sun climbs higher into the crisp autumn sky, the morning chill softens into a gentle amber warmth. The sub-adult takes one final, satisfying reach toward an overhead branch, its dark, muscular tongue gathering a cluster of golden leaves. With a relaxed, rhythmic chewing motion, the young giraffe processes the last mouthful of nutrient-rich foliage, letting the restorative energy of the dawn meal settle deep within its growing frame. The feeding session draws to a peaceful close, stretching its long, powerful neck toward the open sky. The sub-adult lets out a quiet, contented sigh that mingles with the rustling dry leaves underfoot. A sudden surge of vitality pulses through its long limbs, a familiar morning awakening shared by the other sub-adults in the loose herd. Ears twitching and large, dark eyes bright with curiosity. The younger members begin to lift their heads higher, shifting their weight from side to side in an invitation to movement. The quiet vigilance of the morning gradually transforms into a playful readiness. With effortless grace, the sub-adult breaks into a slow, bounding lope across the sunlit clearing, its long legs moving in a rolling, rocking horse gait that seems to defy gravity. Nearby peers respond in kind, kicking up soft puffs of dust as they prance lightly through the scattered seed pods. There is no urgency in their play, only the pure, physical joy of a healthy young body growing strong beneath the autumn sun. As the morning warms, they settle into a calm, easy rhythm of rest and gentle interaction, bathed in the tranquil light of the open woodland. As the autumn sun begins its slow descent toward the horizon, the flat savanna floor transforms into a vast expanse of warm, amber light. A gentle autumn wind sweeps across the plains, carrying the dry, earthy scent of cured grasses and rustling through the delicate leaves of scattered thorn bushes. In this peaceful late afternoon arena stands a sub-adult giraffe, a magnificent study in grace and growing strength. Long limbs, dappled in rich chestnut patches and creamy white webbing, anchor his tall frame firmly to the earth. At this transitional life stage, his body is steadily maturing. The heavy bones of his skull and the small, velvet-covered ossicones crowning his head are growing denser, preparing his skeletal frame for the demanding physical trials of adulthood. From a distance, across the pale golden turf and ancient, sun-baked termite mounds, another young male catches his eye. A quiet stillness settles over the landscape, punctuated only by distant bird calls carried on the breeze and the soft, whispering friction of dry grass brushing against slender ankles. The sub-adult shifts his weight deliberately, testing the lengthening muscles along his shoulders and back. Every movement is a quiet testament to his ongoing physical development, a natural conditioning process forged by miles of daily wandering and browsing among the acacias. He turns his head slowly, tracking his peer against the lengthening shadows. There is no rush in the open air, only the steady, calming rhythm of the changing season. The herd rests nearby, half shrouded in the warm haze, as the day gently breathes its last golden hours into the quiet wilderness. Across the sun-warmed earth, the second young male begins his approach, stepping with deliberate, unhurried grace toward the weathered termite mound that marks their meeting place. Soft hoofsteps stir the dust into tiny, floating clouds of gold. There is no urgency in their steps, no rush of competitive aggression, only the quiet unfolding of an instinctive social ritual. Subadult males communicate their readiness to test one another through a delicate choreography of posture and stillness. The approaching peer halts just paces away, lowering his head slightly in a gesture of invitation. He curves his long neck into a gentle, sweeping arc, resting it lightly against the flank of the first subadult. This tactile contact acts as a silent language, a mutual agreement to engage in physical conditioning and measure their growing strength. Biologically, these ritualized bouts are essential for physical development. By pressing and rubbing their necks together, the young males stimulate muscle conditioning in the cervical vertebrae, shoulders, and upper back. The impact forces encourage bone remodeling, a natural physiological response that increases bone density within the skull and the prominent ossicones. Every intentional nudge and slow-motion sway prepares their growing frames for the demanding dominance hierarchies they will navigate in full maturity. As the gentle autumn wind carries the dry grass whispers across the plains, the two giraffes synchronize their breathing. They stand shoulder to shoulder against the amber backdrop, poised at the threshold of their first gentle engagement. The engagement begins with a slow, deliberate swing of the neck, a movement that showcases an incredible display of living biomechanics. At the apex of the skull sit the heavy, velvet-covered ossicones, acting much like weighted pendulums at the end of a long lever. When the subadult sweeps his neck sideways, this concentrated mass multiplies the rotational force, driving energy deep into the cervical spine and shoulders. Every sweeping arc and controlled collision is a masterclass in physics and physiology. As the thick, muscular neck muscles contract and flex, they endure microloads that trigger cellular adaptation. The skeletal frame responds to these rhythmic impacts by depositing extra calcium along the vertebrae and the upper cranium, steadily increasing bone density to prepare for the heavy-duty dominance battles of adulthood. Far from being random aggression, this sparring is a sophisticated conditioning program, perfectly tailored by evolution to fortify the young male's frame against future challenges. Between each measured swing, the movements slow down, allowing the muscles to recover while the two peers test their balance on the uneven savanna soil. They coordinate their weight distribution effortlessly, pivoting on slender yet remarkably sturdy legs that absorb the rotational momentum. The dry grass whispers in the background as the rhythmic, dull impacts of horn against hide echo softly across the plains. It is a dance of muscle and bone, sculpted by nature, moving in perfect harmony with the fading afternoon light. There is a profound gentleness to this ritual, a conscious restraint that defines the interaction from start to finish. Neither young male seeks dominance today. Instead, they share an unspoken agreement to practice, to learn the delicate geometry of balance. When their frames align once more, the swinging resumes, yet the tempo softens into a steady, metronomic sway. It is an educational choreography, teaching growing bodies how to distribute weight smoothly across long, slender limbs without stumbling on the uneven ground. As the gentle autumn wind carries the rustle of nearby thorn bushes, the pair moves with surprising fluidity. Each sweep of the neck requires a complex calculation of momentum and muscular control, engaging the core and back to stabilize the entire skeletal structure. This controlled sparring is entirely non-violent, serving as a vital rite of passage where strength is measured through cooperation rather than conquest. Distant bird calls echo across the widening expanse, blending with the soft, grounding rhythm of the afternoon. Slowly, The energy of the match begins to ebb. The sweeping motions grow shorter, transforming into gentle, affectionate nudges along the shoulder before ceasing altogether. Both subadults stand side by side, breathing easy in the cooling air, their massive hearts slowing to a calm, resting beat. There is no tension left in the scene, only the quiet contentment of physical exertion well spent and muscles deeply conditioned for the long journey of growth ahead. With the sparring concluded, a quiet stillness settles over the dusty flatland. The two subadults shift their weight, their long patterned legs planting securely in the dry earth as they transition effortlessly from rigorous physical testing to peaceful, deliberate browsing. Reaching up toward a low-hanging acacia branch, the young male strips tender leaves with a long, dark tongue, his jaw moving in a slow, rhythmic chew. This sudden return to tranquility highlights an impressive physiological adaptability, a nearly instantaneous recovery from intense anaerobic exertion back to a state of deep, restorative calm. Around them, the wider herd observes the scene with serene indifference. Mothers and younger calves rest near weathered termite mounds, bathed in the long, horizontal rays of late autumn sunlight. As the shadows stretch further across the golden grasses, the cricket chirps begin to multiply, signaling the slow approach of evening twilight. The subadult pauses his feeding, taking a long, unhurried moment to let his gaze wander over the open savanna. His muscles, thoroughly warmed and conditioned by the afternoon's exercise, now relax completely beneath his skin. There is a deep, biological wisdom in this peaceful aftermath, where physical growth is locked into the body not just through effort, but through the vital rest that follows. Surrounded by the gentle rustle of dry grass whispers and the soft whisper of evening air, the young giraffe lowers his head slightly, breathing in the cooling scent of the earth. He takes a few unhurried steps toward the resting family group, enveloped in the quiet security of the fading day, ready to drift peacefully into the gathering dusk. As the final wash of amber light dissolves into a velvety indigo sky, the atmosphere of the savanna cools completely. The soft hoof steps of the young male make almost no sound against the dust as he glides closer to the main body of the resting herd. Gathered tightly near the base of a broad domed termite mound, the family group begins to settle into their nighttime postures, folding their long limbs beneath their massive bodies in a display of total trust and communal safety. The gentle autumn wind slows to a whisper, carrying the crisp, earthy scent of cooling soil and crushed acacia leaves. Distant bird calls fade away completely, replaced by the steady, ambient hum of night-active insects tuning their evening choruses. The subadult lowers his long frame with a slow, deliberate grace, tucking his heavy neck back toward his flank in a classic resting curve. In this secure posture, his respiratory rate gradually deepens, allowing his cardiovascular system to process the lingering warmth of the day's physical conditioning. Evolution has shaped these gentle giants not only for towering height and formidable displays of strength, but for deep, restorative tranquility under the cover of darkness. Surrounded by the familiar silhouettes of the herd, the young giraffe closes his large, dark eyes just enough to let the world blur softly around him. The dry grass whispers a quiet lullaby across the vast, open plains, cradling the resting animals in peace. Here, beneath the emerging canopy of southern stars, the energetic trials of youth gently dissolve into the quiet stillness of the autumn night, offering a profound sense of rest and restoration until the dawn returns. Across the vast, undulating expanse of the autumn plains, the day surrenders slowly to the quiet embrace of evening. The sky transforms into a breathtaking canvas, washed in deep burnt orange and bruised purple hues that bleed together along the distant horizon. A gentle autumn wind sweeps through the golden savanna, carrying the dry, rustling whispers of grass and the faint, sweet scent of cooling earth. Against this glowing backdrop stands the young adult giraffe, a towering silhouette of absolute grace and physical maturity. No longer a vulnerable calf, its frame is powerfully proportioned, standing nearly 18 feet tall against the fading light. Every muscle beneath its patterned coat is relaxed yet refined, sculpted by years of navigating this timeless ecosystem. Dark, velvety patches, resembling stepping stones of autumn foliage, mark its skin, perfectly evolved to blend into the dappled shadows of the acacia woodlands bordering the plains. Long, elongated shadows stretch softly across the landscape, reaching out like quiet fingers toward the approaching night. The giraffe lowers its sculptural head slightly, its large, dark eyes fringed with long lashes taking in the tranquil vista. In the distance, the first evening stars begin to prick through the violet sky, accompanied by the tentative, rhythmic chirps of crickets waking in the undergrowth. A profound stillness settles over the savanna. The heat of the day dissolves into a soothing coolness, and the world seems to hold its breath, cradled in the gentle stillness of twilight. With a gentle shift in weight, the young adult initiates its journey across the uneven terrain, demonstrating a masterclass in biomechanical efficiency. Unlike most quadrupeds that move in diagonal pairs, the giraffe utilizes a distinctive pacing gait. It advances both the right leg and the right side simultaneously, followed smoothly by the left. This lateral sequence creates a characteristic rocking motion, a fluid, swaying rhythm that carries the massive frame forward with deceptive speed and minimal energy expenditure. Each long stride is executed with deliberate calm. The slender legs, acting as powerful pendulums, negotiate the dips and rises of the savanna floor as if floating above the earth. High-stepping, yet remarkably quiet, the hooves press softly into the cooling soil, barely disturbing the dry golden grasses that rustle in the wake of its passage. This specialized locomotion allows the young adult to cover vast expanses of territory effortlessly, maintaining pace over miles without the taxing bursts of acceleration required by heavier, stockier mammals. Balance is maintained by the counterswing of the long, muscular neck, which bobs in precise harmony with the movement of the legs. This natural counterbalance stabilizes the towering center of gravity, turning what could be an awkward height into a soaring advantage. As the animal glides across the darkening plains, its movement mirrors the sweeping curves of the landscape itself, unhurried, continuous, and deeply attuned to the rhythms of the earth. Every step is a testament to millions of years of anatomical refinement, blending immense power with an almost hypnotic serenity as twilight deepens around it. Ahead, scattered across the amber expanse like ancient sculptures, the main herd materializes in the deepening haze. This loose-knit collective is never rigidly bound. Instead, it operates as a flexible network of individuals whose distances ebb and flow according to subtle social cues. As the young adult draws closer, it softens its pacing gait, transitioning from purposeful travel into a slow, deliberate drift that mirrors the positioning of the nearest conspecifics. Giraffe society relies on a complex, fluid hierarchy built around quiet cooperation and mutual awareness rather than overt dominance. Without breaking stride, the young adult aligns its long axis parallel to a senior female, a respectful posturing that acknowledges established bonds within the group. There are no sudden movements, no rushing. Instead, subtle shifts in weight and the angle of the head communicate safe acceptance. Through low-frequency infrasound, deep, resonant vocalizations felt through the ground rather than heard, rumbling greetings ripple quietly through the gathering dusk, anchoring each member to the collective presence. Individual wandering seamlessly dissolves into synchronized collective awareness. Heads turn in a shared rhythm, scanning the horizon where long shadows dissolve into violet dusk. The young adult takes its place within this living mosaic, its towering silhouette softly merging with the outlines of its kin. In this quiet congregation, the boundaries between self and herd blur, cradled by the cooling breath of the autumn wind and the rhythmic hum of the settling plains. Communication within the evening gathering relies on a delicate language of micro-movements, refined over years of social integration. As the autumn temperature drops, the giraffe tilts its ears forward, a subtle twitch catching the fading rustle of dry grass and interpreting the relaxed posture of nearby kin. These ear orientations serve as constant, silent indicators of attentiveness, broadcasting calm assurance to the rest of the loose network. Neck alignments play an equally crucial role in maintaining harmony among the towering herd members. Standing shoulder to shoulder in the deepening twilight, two giraffes slowly angle their long necks parallel to one another, a non-verbal greeting that diffuses tension and reaffirms mutual tolerance without a single stride of conflict. This gentle posturing avoids the energy-costly dominance displays seen in younger, more volatile cohorts, relying instead on the quiet confidence of full physical maturity. A twitch of a dark-fringed eyelid, or a slow, deliberate lowering of the chin speaks volumes across the quiet savanna. When the young adult gently touches its muzzle to the shoulder of an elder female, the contact is brief yet profound, an ancient ritual of recognition that solidifies its permanent place within the matrilineal structure. No vocal calls break the stillness. The interaction remains entirely visual and tactile, synchronized with the rhythmic hum of beginning cricket chirps. Through these microscopic adjustments in posture and gaze, the collective consciousness of the herd is constantly fine-tuned, ensuring that every individual moves as an intuitive extension of the whole, while the last amber light fades from the plains. As the amber sun dips entirely below the horizon, the expansive autumn landscape undergoes a dramatic atmospheric transformation. The sky, moments ago ablaze with vivid burnt orange and rich violet, softens into deep indigo and slate blue. With this shift, the cooling autumn breeze sweeps across the plains, carrying the crisp, earthy scent of sun-baked dust mingling with the dampening grass. On the darkening savanna floor, daylight surrenders to a realm of profound elongation. Shadows stretch lazily across the golden earth, growing impossibly long until they merge with the encroaching twilight. The towering silhouettes of the giraffes, once sharply defined against the day, now blur and blend seamlessly into the sprawling canopies of the umbrella acacias. Standing motionless against the darkening timber, their majestic forms become almost indistinguishable from the gnarled trunks and sprawling branches of the trees around them. This camouflage of geometry and shadow offers a natural defense, wrapping the resting herd in a cloak of quiet obscurity. The gentle rustling of dry autumn grass whispers through the stillness, underscored by the steady rising chorus of awakening crickets tuning their evening rhythms. Every outline softens, and the hard edges of the daytime world melt away into the velvety embrace of the coming night. The towering young adult stands deeply rooted in this tranquil landscape, its long silhouette swaying ever so slightly with the rhythm of the breeze, perfectly anchored to the timeless, shadowy expanse of the sleeping earth. High above the cooling plains, the first pale pinpricks of starlight pierce the indigo vault of the sky. In this gentle transition between day and night, the massive herd settles into a profound stillness. Giraffes are famously light sleepers, often resting for only minutes at a time while standing upright, trusting in their acute height and panoramic vision to detect any lingering danger. Yet tonight, wrapped in the safety of the collective group, a deep, collective calm takes hold of the community. The young adult giraffe eases its long weight downward, folding its slender limbs beneath its towering frame with a quiet, practiced grace. Settling into the crisp autumn earth, it tucks its graceful neck in a gentle, resting curve, perfectly mirroring the relaxed postures of the older and experienced matriarchs nearby. This shared stillness is a cornerstone of herd dynamics, reinforcing social bonds through quiet proximity and mutual trust under the fading light. As the deep hum of infrasound ripples softly through the ground, subaudible vibrations used to maintain silent contact across the darkness, the young adult feels the steady, reassuring heartbeat of the community. The distant, rising chirp of crickets provides a lulling backdrop to the cooling night air, while the gentle autumn wind whispers through the dry acacia leaves above. Secure, calm, and fully integrated into the ancient rhythm of the plains, the young adult rests its heavy eyelids, embraced by the peaceful quiet of the African night. As the amber glow of dusk surrenders to the vast expanse of the African night, a crisp autumn chill settles over the open savanna. The day's radiant heat fades quickly into the cool, clear air, carrying the steady, rhythmic chirping of a distant cricket chorus and the low, resonant rustle of dry grass brushing against long ankles. Overhead, the Milky Way arches across the sky like a spilled river of powdered silver, illuminating the plains with a soft, celestial glow. In this serene expanse, the giraffe herd drifts together into a loose, protective gathering. Underneath the sweeping canopy of stars, they form a living defensive ring. Each individual stands purposefully facing a different direction, maximizing their collective peripheral awareness across the dark horizon. This sophisticated social architecture allows the herd to share the heavy burden of vigilance, trusting in one another to watch over the sleeping landscape. The cool evening breeze sweeps softly through the acacia trees, accompanied by the occasional trill of nightjars hunting in the upper air and the faint, low-frequency hums vibrating through the ground as the animals communicate just beyond human hearing. Standing tall and statuesque against the starlight, their towering silhouettes blend seamlessly into the patterns of the night. Every long-lashed eye remains watchful, attuned to the slightest shift in the wind or shadow. Within this circle of shared safety, the restless energy of the day dissolves completely, leaving behind a profound stillness that envelops the entire plain as the midnight hour approaches. To understand the quiet majesty of a resting giraffe, one must first appreciate the profound evolutionary puzzle of its anatomy. Standing nearly 6 meters tall, these magnificent browsers face a distinct biological paradox. The very height that grants them a peerless view of the horizon also renders the act of lying down a complex, high-risk endeavor. Returning such a massive frame from the clouds to the earth requires a deliberate sequence of movements, and rising again takes precious seconds, seconds that, in the ancestral wild, could mean the difference between safety and peril. Because of this inherent vulnerability, evolution sculpted a remarkably efficient sleep architecture. Unlike humans, who surrender to hours of continuous slumber, large herbivores like the giraffe practice polyphasic sleep. They divide their nocturnal rest into countless fractional segments. Throughout the cool autumn night, the herd acquires the vast majority of its daily rest while standing, suspended in a state of light, vigilant dozing. Their locking joint mechanisms and heavily muscled limbs support their immense weight effortlessly, allowing them to rest their brains without ever fully relinquishing their upright stance. Yet, standing slumber alone cannot satisfy the body's deeper neurological needs. Sleep, in its truest restorative sense, requires moments of total muscular release and neurological recalibration. To achieve this, the giraffe must periodically solve the ancient puzzle of its own towering proportions, balancing the evolutionary necessity of predator avoidance with the vital biological imperative for deep, restorative unconsciousness beneath the starlit sky. Beneath the glittering canopy of the Milky Way, the young adult giraffe prepares for a rare surrender. The air carries a crisp autumn chill, rustling the dry golden grass with a gentle, whispering sigh. With slow, deliberate grace, the towering animal initiates a sequence of movements millions of years in the making. First, the long forelegs bow outward, planting the heavy knees firmly into the cool, dark earth. earth. The massive frame descends with measured control, shifting its center of gravity downward in a fluid, unfolding motion. Once the lower body settles against the ground, the giraffe carefully folds its slender legs beneath its expansive chest. It is a moment of profound physical vulnerability. In this grounded posture, the animal loses its primary defense, its swift, towering stride. Yet, the biological imperative for true rest overcomes this inherent risk. To complete the transformation, the giraffe gracefully arcs its 6-foot neck backward, curving the heavy cervical vertebrae in a smooth sweep until its muzzle rests gently upon its own flank. This posture creates a striking, swan-like silhouette against the starlit plains. By curling the neck in this manner, the giraffe relieves the immense muscular tension required to balance its skull during the day, while maintaining just enough spinal alignment to breathe easily. The surrounding herd stands as a silent perimeter, their soft infrasonic hums vibrating through the cool night air like a steady heartbeat. For now, the tower has folded, embracing the stillness of the earth as the delicate architecture of deep rest begins to unfold. The sheer weight of that 6-foot cervical column demands an ingenious solution for rest. During daylight hours, massive nuchal ligaments and powerful neck muscles strain constantly to balance the heavy skull. But now, resting its head softly against its hindquarter, the giraffe allows those overburdened tissues to finally slacken. The heavy vertebrae bow in a sweeping, graceful arc, shifting the center of gravity closer to the earth. This signature posture is a masterpiece of mammalian adaptation, yet it comes with a high biological cost. In this deeply curled position, the animal's ability to spring into instant flight is momentarily compromised. Should danger approach, unfolding those long legs and raising the towering frame requires several seconds of vulnerable effort. Evolution navigates this razor-thin edge by keeping the duration remarkably brief. The nervous system remains finely tuned, balancing the desperate need for physical restoration with the unyielding realities of the wild. As the cool autumn breeze ripples across the savanna, the giraffe settles deeper into this tranquil loop. Distant nightjars call out in rhythmic pulses, blending with the steady, pulsing hum of the cricket chorus in the dry grass below. The sheer quiet of the starlit plains cradles the resting giant, wrapping the landscape in a blanket of absolute peace. In this suspended moment, the tension of the waking world dissolves entirely, leaving only the slow, rhythmic cadence of breath under the watchful expanse of the cosmos. Now, beneath the sweeping river of stars, the nervous system permits a profound physiological shift. The giraffe drifts downward into the fragile realm of rapid eye movement, or REM, sleep. In this delicate phase, the intricate network of postural muscles relaxes completely. That impressive neck, usually braced with such unwavering strength, loses all its tension, resting heavily against the flank in a state of absolute surrender. Yet this deep neural restoration must be measured in heartbeats, because the loss of muscle tone leaves the animal momentarily defenseless against the silent predators of the dark. Nature limits these vulnerable episodes to mere minutes. Inside the brain, vivid sensory processing unfolds, while the massive body remains remarkably still. Suddenly, a subtle twitch ripples through the velvety ears. A faint flutter of the eyelids breaks the stillness as the giraffe processes the silent flickers of a dream. Almost instantly, the biological alarms within the brainstem stir. Without a sound, the deep slumber recedes. The heavy head lifts from the flank in a fluid, deliberate motion, and wide, dark eyes snap open to scan the shadowed horizon. The brief, precious window of absolute rest closes as seamlessly as it opened. The pulse steadying, the young adult lingers in the quiet space between sleep and waking, attuned to the gentle rustle of dry grass and the soft, infrasonic hums of the herd. perfectly anchored in the peaceful safety of the autumn night. The time for deep restoration has passed, and the ancient rhythms of the savanna now call the young adult back to its feet. Rising from the earth is an evolutionary marvel, requiring a precise, coordinated shift in momentum. With a sudden, powerful heave of its massive chest, the giraffe sweeps its forelegs forward and drives its weight upward. In a single, fluid motion that defies its towering height, the long frame unfolds, and the animal stands tall once more against the vast expanse of the plains. A gentle shudder ripples down the length of the 6-foot neck, shaking off the chill of the crisp autumn night. The cool breeze catches the short, dark hairs of the mane, while overhead, the glittering Milky Way slowly wheels across the southern sky in its eternal, silent arc. There is no confusion or lingering grogginess. The transition from profound rest to total alertness is instantaneous, shaped by millions of years of mammalian survival. Settling comfortably back into a familiar, high-altitude posture, the giraffe resumes its silent watch. The long legs lock into their specialized standing apparatus, conserving energy even while awake. All around, the herd remains a steady constellation of dark silhouettes against the pale, starlit grass, anchored by the rhythmic, infrasonic hums that resonate softly through the ground. The night continues its slow, peaceful march toward dawn, cradled in the quiet, watchful stillness of the wild. Far across the ancient plains of the southern savanna, the turning of the earth brings a quiet, profound shift. Summer's golden heat has long since faded, leaving behind the stark, silver silence of winter. In the deep hours before dawn, the air grows remarkably still, chilled by an unaccustomed frost that creeps silently across the dry landscape. A delicate, crystalline white coating settles over the landscape, glittering faintly beneath the starlight. Every blade of dormant red grass and every jagged thorn branch of the umbrella acacia wears a fragile coat of ice. The breeze carries a crisp, sharp edge, rustling the dry grass with a gentle, paper-like whisper that echoes softly across the sleeping earth. Far in the distance, the lonely call of a jackal drifts through the freezing air, swallowed quickly by the immense, quiet expanse. This sudden drop in temperature marks a challenging season for the savanna's inhabitants. Water is locked away in frost, and the ecosystem slows its vibrant pulse to conserve energy. Amidst this frozen stillness, a towering silhouette stands completely motionless beneath the sprawling canopy of an acacia tree. Rising nearly 6 meters into the starlit sky, a mature adult giraffe anchors itself against the cold. Its dense, geometric coat pattern acts as a natural thermal blanket, helping to trap body heat against the biting wind. Hooves rest firmly upon the frozen earth, unmoving. The pre-dawn chill tests the very limits of the animal's remarkable circulatory system, which must pump life-giving warmth all the way from its powerful heart up the long, slender neck to the crown of its head. Every breath forms a faint plume of mist in the frigid air, dissolving slowly into the quiet night. Rising to an extraordinary height of nearly 6 meters, the giraffe's immense stature cuts sharply through the pale, freezing air of the pre-dawn savanna. This towering form stands as a monument of endurance, completely exposed to the open sky without the comfort of natural shelter. Maintaining core body temperature across such a vast surface area presents a profound physiological challenge, particularly during the coldest hours of the winter season. The animal's long, slender legs and monumental neck are masterpieces of evolutionary thermoregulation. Specialized blood vessels, or arete mirabile, regulate the flow of warm blood ascending to the brain and descending to the lower limbs, preventing heat loss while protecting sensitive tissues from the suboptimal temperatures. Yet, standing entirely still requires a delicate muscular balance. To conserve precious metabolic energy on a restricted winter diet, the giant remains anchored in place, letting its heavy, patterned coat work in tandem with a dense underlayer of skin to insulate against the biting draft. Every detail of its massive frame is silhouetted against the dim, gray horizon. The rhythmic rise and fall of its chest is slow and deep, releasing faint plumes of condensation that vanish into the frosty night. A quiet stillness envelops the landscape as the giraffe waits patiently for the earth to turn toward the sun. Its immense heart beats with steady, measured grace, pumping warmth upward against gravity through 6 feet of vertical space, embodying the quiet, resilient strength required to outlast the harshest nights of the year. High above the frost-silvered earth, the cardiovascular system of this magnificent giant accomplishes a feat of hydraulic engineering found nowhere else in the animal kingdom. Pumping warm, life-sustaining blood upward against gravity through 6 vertical feet of neck requires an extraordinarily powerful heart. Weighing upwards of 25 pounds, this specialized organ generates immense systolic pressure, nearly double that of most other large mammals, to ensure the brain receives a steady supply of oxygen despite the numbing chill. During these freezing winter hours, when the ambient temperature threatens to draw heat from the extremities, the giraffe's circulatory design shifts into a sophisticated state of preservation. Specialized valves and elastic blood vessels within the long neck work in harmony to prevent sudden blood pressure spikes when the animal lowers its head, while intricate countercurrent heat exchange networks in the lower legs minimize thermal loss. Warm arterial blood traveling downward transfers its heat directly to the cooler venous blood returning from the hooves, ensuring that blood reaching the distant ground remains temperate without sacrificing the core's vital warmth. This complex physiological choreography happens quietly beneath a thick hide and a dense network of capillaries. Every beat of the powerful heart resonates gently through the skin, a steady, rhythmic pulse that defies the suboptimal conditions of the barren savanna. Without a shiver, the giant conserves its internal energy, relying entirely on this remarkable vascular adaptability to maintain homeostasis. The sheer scale of its anatomy, once a vulnerability in the biting wind, becomes a masterclass in thermal efficiency as the circulatory system bridges the vast distance between earth and sky, sustaining life in the quiet, frozen dawn. As the first pale light traces the horizon, the landscape reveals the stark reality of the dry season. The lush, verdant canopies of the warm months have vanished, replaced by a brittle skeleton of dormant vegetation. For a mature herbivore of this staggering mass, survival now depends upon a drastic shift in foraging strategy. The rich, tender leaves that once fueled metabolic maintenance are entirely gone, leaving only the hardened, woody architecture of the umbrella acacia. Nutritional scarcity dominates the winter savanna. To meet its daily caloric requirements, the giant must harvest sustenance from sources most other animals find impossible to digest. Extending a remarkably prehensile, dark-hued tongue stretching up to 45 inches to navigate around formidable thorns, the giraffe selects dry, fibrous twigs. This specialized diet demands incredible patience and resilience from the digestive tract. A complex 4-chambered stomach, functioning much like a biological fermentation vat, works tirelessly to break down the tough lignins and cellulose found in sun-baked wood. Microscopic gut bacteria slowly extract every possible calorie from the sparse winter rations, transforming dry bark and dormant shoots into the slow-burning energy needed to sustain massive bulk through the coldest months. Every mouthful requires deliberate, measured chewing. As the animal processes the coarse browse, the rhythmic motion of its jaw generates subtle internal warmth, a small metabolic bonus against the morning air. There is no rush in these quiet moments. The rhythm of feeding matches the unhurried pace of the awakening wilderness. A timeless cycle of endurance written in the quiet stillness of the frost-kissed plains. The morning chill lingers, clinging to the frosty earth as the giraffe prepares to shift its towering weight. Breaking the pre-dawn stillness, the giant takes its first slow, deliberate step. A single heavy hoof comes down, crunching softly on the frozen soil and shattering the delicate crystal patterns formed overnight on the grass blades. Locomotion across a 6-meter stature is an exercise in profound balance and anatomical coordination. Because the center of gravity rests high above the ground, movement must be measured and intentional. The animal transitions into its characteristic pacing gait, moving both legs on one side of its massive body simultaneously, followed smoothly by the other side. This graceful, rocking motion consumes minimal energy, an essential conservation strategy when every calorie counts during the lean winter months. With each unhurried stride across the crisp savanna, the giraffe scans the horizon, its large, dark eyes taking in the sparse vegetation. The surrounding landscape sleeps under a pale gray sky, save for the faint rustle of dry grass parting beneath heavy legs. There is a tranquil, meditative quality to the progression, undisturbed by the cold wind that brushes against dense coat patterns. The animal pauses near a weathered thicket, its long legs settling comfortably into the frozen earth. Here, amidst the dormant thorn branches, it prepares to scout the early morning browse, embodying the quiet endurance required to meet another winter day. Far to the east, the pale gray horizon begins to soften, shedding its bruised twilight tones in favor of a faint, bruised amber. The transition is imperceptible at first, a gradual lightening that touches the highest canopy of the umbrella acacias before reaching the frosty plains below. The giraffe stands completely still beside the weathered thicket, sensing the impending shift in the atmosphere with ancient instincts wired for survival. Even at 6 meters of elevation, where the crisp wind continues to stir, a subtle change registers. The ambient temperature remains stubbornly low, yet the quality of the light hints at the thermal relief to come. Across the vast, frost-silvered savanna, nature holds its breath, waiting for the first golden rays of the sun to pierce the winter chill. Basking in this anticipatory quiet, the animal's dark, long-lashed eyes fixate on the brightening skyline. Its massive heart, a marvel of evolutionary engineering capable of generating immense pressure to pump blood all the way up that towering neck, beats steadily and slow. Every physiological system is poised, ready to harness the incoming solar radiation. As the first brilliant sliver of the sun edges above the distant hills, painting the dormant landscape in warm, honeyed hues, the frost upon the acacia leaves begins to glisten and dissolve. The long, cold night is finally giving way, and the rhythmic cycle of the savanna warms once more. Across the open plains, a bitter winter dawn unfurls in shades of pale amethyst and silver. A sharp, crisp winter wind sweeps lightly over the ground, carrying the stillness of the high-altitude night. Beneath this frozen sky, every blade of grass wears a delicate mantle of white frost, crackling softly underfoot as tiny woodland creatures stir. Standing motionless against the freezing horizon is a mature adult giraffe. Having dozed through the dark hours while remaining upright, its massive frame now locks into a posture of profound energy conservation. The air is so cold that with each slow, measured exhalation, breath forms faint, graceful vapor plumes that drift lazily upward into the morning chill and vanish. To endure the harsh nocturnal drop in temperature, the animal's physiology has already initiated deep seasonal adaptations. Its dense, heavy winter coat lies flat against the skin, trapping a thin layer of insulating air around the colossal body. The long, slender legs, perfectly designed for distance and speed, serve as sturdy pillars planted firmly in the frozen soil. Every muscle remains deliberately relaxed yet poised, minimizing metabolic output while the core temperature slowly stabilizes against the frost. In the distance, the low, resonant coo of a mourning dove echoes across the frost-silvered landscape, blending with the subtle, dry rustle of old acacia pods tumbling in the breeze. A faint, low hum begins to rise from hardy insects waking beneath the frozen bark of nearby trees, signaling the slow turning of the world. For now, however, time itself seems suspended in the frost, held in quiet equilibrium by the patient giant waiting for the first touch of the sun. In the stillness of the freezing morning, the respiratory rhythm of the giant is slow, deliberate, and deeply measured. With each breath, air is drawn deep through the elongated nasal passages, where a specialized vascular network works quietly to warm the sub-freezing oxygen before it ever reaches the massive lungs. This crucial physiological adaptation prevents internal thermal shock, shielding the core from the biting chill of the high-altitude air. As the chest gently rises and falls, faint plumes of warm vapor drift upward from the nostrils, hanging momentarily like delicate silk ribbons in the crisp atmosphere before dissolving completely. Maintaining core body temperature across a towering 4-meter frame requires profound stillness. Every heartbeat pushes warm blood through a vast, highly specialized cardiovascular network, designed to pump vital heat upward against gravity toward the brain, while carefully managing the flow to the slender extremities. By remaining utterly motionless, the animal avoids unnecessary muscular exertion, conserving every precious calorie stored during the autumn grazing months. The internal furnace hums at a low, steady rate, balancing the metabolic cost of mere existence against the profound cold of the winter dawn. There is no urgency in this quiet routine, only the ancient, biological wisdom of patience. The breath continues its slow, rhythmic cadence, syncing with the quiet pulse of the waking savanna, waiting for the first golden rays of sunlight to finally break over the frost-covered plains. A subtle shift begins as the first amber fingers of sunlight spill across the frost-silvered landscape. With immense grace, the towering adult prepares to move, initiating a sequence of muscular contractions guided by deep neurological stillness. The journey toward the sunlit clearing is measured, deliberate, and extraordinarily slow. One long, slender leg lifts from the frozen earth. Beneath the hooves, a delicate crunch of ice crystals breaks the profound morning silence, followed immediately by the faint, dry rustle of wind-tossed acacia pods resting upon the soil. The stride is a masterclass in mammalian biomechanics, because a giraffe paces by, moving both legs on the same side of the body simultaneously. The shift in center of gravity is vast yet smoothly executed. Each footfall is carefully placed, avoiding hidden roots and treacherous patches of slick rime. As the giant navigates between the gnarled branches of scattered thorn trees, the towering silhouette glides through the crisp air. There is no haste, only a steady, rhythmic progression toward the warmth. The delicate balance of the cardiovascular system adjusts effortlessly to the vertical motion, ensuring steady blood pressure and continuous oxygenation throughout the changing posture. Ahead lies the sheltered opening, bathed entirely in direct, horizontal rays of early morning light. The golden glow catches the edges of the dark, intricate coat patterns, illuminating the space like a natural sanctuary. With one final, gentle step, the massive frame enters the embrace of the sunlight, coming to a rest where the solar heat radiates upward from the thawing ground, ready to begin the deep, restorative work of warming the winter-chilled blood. Now, bathed in the direct amber glow, a remarkable biological transformation begins across the expansive hide. The giraffe's iconic dark patches, rich in melanin and unique star-like geometries, are far more than mere camouflage against the shimmering dry grasses of the winter savanna. Beneath each irregular brown and chestnut polygon lies an intricate, densely woven web of superficial blood vessels, forming a specialized network of natural thermal collectors. As the slanting winter rays strike these dark regions, the patches absorb the radiant energy far more efficiently than the pale, creamy channels dividing them. This differential absorption gently raises the temperature of the blood coursing through the millions of microscopic capillaries just beneath the skin. It is a brilliant feat of physiological thermoregulation, turning the towering frame into a living solar panel. The warmed blood enters the venous drainage system, slowly mixing with the cooler core fluids and circulating upward toward the massive heart and down the endless columns of the legs. With every steady heartbeat, the thermal current distributes the comforting heat inward, soothing the dense connective tissues and easing the lingering stiffness in every weary joint. The circulation acts as a hydraulic radiator, gently tempering the winter chill without expending precious metabolic energy. All around this sunlit sanctuary, the quiet atmosphere settles even deeper. The crisp wind fades to a gentle, lulling breath, carrying only the distant, resonant coo of a waking mourning dove and the very faint, low hum of insects beginning to stir in the thawing leaf litter. Within the quiet embrace of the light, the giant simply stands, absorbing the restorative warmth, letting the ancient rhythms of nature slowly mend the cold night away. A subtle shift ripples through the towering frame as the deep muscle fibers finally begin to soften. For hours, the freezing dawn has held those long, slender limbs in a rigid stillness, locking the massive joints against the bite of the winter frost. But now, as the solar warmth penetrates deep beneath the chestnut hide, a slow and wondrous physical release unfolds. The shoulder muscles, dense and powerful, relax by fractional degrees. A long, elegant leg shifts its weight, the hoof pressing softly into the soil with barely a sound, save for the faint crunch of brittle frost parting beneath the heavy tread. The immense neck, a marvel of biomechanics composed of 7 elongated vertebrae and heavy supporting ligaments, gently arcs. With a slow, fluid motion, the giraffe tips its head just a fraction higher toward the widening amber sky, testing the restored range of motion in the upper atlas joint. Every tendon and connective sheath, once stiffened by the overnight drop in core temperature, slides smoothly once more within its natural lubricant. There is no urgency in these movements, only the profound, restorative luxury of thawing. The body uncoils from the inside out, turning the residual chill into a distant memory. Standing in the sheltered clearing, enveloped by the steady warmth and the quiet serenity of the awakening winter landscape, the adult giraffe finds its balance fully restored. The slow, deep rhythm of breathing matches the quiet pulse of the ecosystem, resting in perfect harmony with the rising sun. Around the clearing, the low hum of waking insects begins to vibrate through the dry air, joining the distant, soothing call of a mourning dove. Sunlight now floods the entire savanna, washing the golden grasses in a brilliant, steady glow. Bathed in this radiant midday warmth, the mature giraffe stands at its full, magnificent height, a towering silhouette of resilience against the endless horizon. The physiological transformation is complete. The vast circulatory network, having shuttled solar heat from the dark skin patches to the core, now maintains a steady, efficient thermal equilibrium across the massive frame. Every system operates in quiet perfection, designed over millennia to master the harsh extremes of the seasonal shift. Slowly, the adult turns its head, casting a calm, watchful gaze across the sprawling plains where the rest of the winter herd begins to stir and gather. There is a quiet authority in this relaxed stance, a gentle leadership earned through patient endurance of the frosty night. Without a sound, the towering sentinel takes a deliberate step forward, moving with restored grace toward the waiting acacia trees. The crisp winter wind whispers softly through dry pods overhead, bidding a peaceful farewell to the morning cold as the golden afternoon gently begins. A cool winter breeze moves softly through the mature acacia forest, carrying the faint, dry scent of dust and matured bark. Low in the western sky, the late afternoon sun casts long, amber beams that slice between twisted branches, painting the landscape in tones of gold and shadow. Deep within this woodland, Upon deeply etched animal trails worn smooth by generations of hooves stands the matriarch. Her weathered coat tells the story of many seasons. The deep chestnut patches of her youth have softened into richer, darker mahogany, framed by a dusting of silvering skin around her dark, expressive eyes. A gentle curve defines her long neck, bearing the quiet grace of an animal who has learned every contour of this land. With deliberate, unhurried steps, she places each hoof with absolute precision upon the familiar earth. Around her, the ambient sounds of the savannah settle into a tranquil rhythm. The soft rustling of dry leaves mingles with the distant, soothing calls of doves nesting in the high canopy. Occasionally, a low, resonant, snorting exhalation drifts from nearby brush as younger herd members acknowledge her steady presence. She pauses for a moment, letting her long, dark blue tongue flick out to test the air for the subtle shifts in temperature that mark the approaching evening. Every stride she takes is anchored in accumulated memory. Having navigated these corridors of thorn and timber for decades, she moves without urgency or fear. She is the living archive of her family, holding the knowledge of hidden watercourses and sheltered browsing zones just beyond the next rise. As the shadows stretch longer across the forest floor, she remains a pillar of calm leadership, seamlessly blending into the ancient rhythms of the wild. Communication within the kinship network requires no sound. As the elder female shifts her weight forward, a younger female standing 50 yards away immediately responds. Giraffe's social hierarchy is fluid yet deeply rooted in respect for seniority, where energy conservation dictates that information must travel along invisible channels. Every minute adjustment of the matriarch's anatomy serves as a broadcast to the surrounding family. A gentle twitch of her left ear, flicking backward to dismiss a passing fly, prompts a matching ripple through the herd. When she tilts her chin slightly higher to survey an open corridor between the thorn trees, her yearling granddaughter mirrors the posture, halting a meandering step. A subtle swish of her long, dark tufted tail acts as a quiet anchor, signaling that the current pace remains safe and that there is no need for restless scanning. These micro-movements are read by the younger members with effortless fluency. By relying on visual cues rather than vocalizations, which might otherwise alert distant predators lingering in the deepening shadows, the group maintains absolute harmony. They are tethered to her composure. If she freezes, planting all 4 hooves firmly into the frosted earth, the entire procession instantly halts in unison, turning as one body to face the same direction. She breathes out slowly, a warm, steady exhalation that misting slightly in the cooling winter air. Her eyelids droop just a fraction, a universal sign of peace that ripples outward like water from a fallen leaf. In this quiet theater of survival, her body language becomes the law of the woodland, dictating the tempo of the afternoon with nothing more than the slow, deliberate turning of her head. Ahead looms a dense umbrella thorn acacia, its upper branches offering a rich canopy of tender winter growth. Here, the matriarch's advanced age becomes her greatest asset. Over more than 2 decades, her teeth have worn down through thousands of miles of fibrous cud chewing, leaving her with the refined efficiency of a seasoned artisan. She does not waste precious winter calories on thick, woody stems or heavily defended lower branches where acacia trees concentrate their sharpest thorns. Instead, her dark, prehensile tongue, stretching nearly 20 inches long, reaches deep into the prickly interior with surgical precision. With a slow, sweeping motion, her tongue wraps deftly around a cluster of high-altitude green leaves, pulling them safely past the vicious 3-inch thorns. Her lips, hardened by tough keratinized papillae, protect her sensitive mouth from the abrasive bark. She strips the foliage with a practiced upward tug, closing her eyes for a brief moment as she chews. Her lower molars grind the food in a rhythmic, circular motion, maximizing nutrient extraction from every mouthful. This meticulous foraging technique is entirely deliberate. Younger giraffes occasionally pull at random branches, expending unnecessary energy on bitter, tannin-rich leaves that offer little sustenance. The matriarch, guided by a lifetime of botanical memory, bypasses these chemical defenses entirely. She selects only the most sun-drenched shoots, rich in proteins and moisture, leaving the defensive tannins untouched. As she swallows, her long neck ripples smoothly, sending the green bolus back down to her rumen for a later round of rumination. She plucks a final delicate leaf tip before withdrawing her tongue, moving with a calm, unhurried grace that conserves every ounce of warmth and vitality for the approaching night. With a quiet, rhythmic shifting of weight, the matriarch pivots away from the acacia crown and resumes her northward trajectory. Her pacing gait is a masterclass in biomechanical efficiency, a diagonal coordination of limbs that carries her massive frame forward with deceptive speed and fluid grace. Following closely behind her, a pair of subadults mirror her exact rhythm. Their long legs swing in synchronized cadence, matching the matriarch's measured stride across the golden grasses and amber-lit leaf litter. In this mixed-age procession, movement is communication. Giraffes rely heavily on subtle postural cues rather than vocalizations to maintain social cohesion, and the matriarch's posture speaks volumes. As she dips her head slightly to clear a low-hanging bough, the younger herd members instantly adjust their own head heights in a cascading wave of behavioral alignment. When she pauses for a brief heartbeat to test the shifting wind, the entire lineage halts in unison, their tall silhouettes forming a constellation of calm vigilance against the pale winter sky. The crunching of twigs beneath heavy hooves blends softly with the rustling leaves stirred by the gentle afternoon breeze. There is no urgency in their travel, only a deep, ancestral coordination honed over countless seasons. The younger animals tuck in close to her flanks, finding reassurance not just in her physical presence, but in the steady, unbroken rhythm she maintains. As they drift deeper into the sheltered heart of the woodland, the diverse generations move as a single, harmonious organism, cradled by the long shadows of the ending day. Ahead lies a wide, sheltered clearing where the forest canopy parts to welcome the final, horizontal rays of the late winter sun. Stepping into the sunlit glade, the matriarch comes to a gentle halt. Her heavy-lidded eyes reflect the amber glow, and she exhales a long, warm sigh that plumes softly in the cooling air. One by one, the herd drifts into the clearing to join her, clustering shoulder to shoulder in an unhurried display of social cohesion. Standing motionless, they absorb the residual warmth of the sun-baked earth and the fading light, their deeply patched coats soaking up the thermal energy needed for the approaching frosty night. In this quiet sanctuary, the ambient sounds shift into a soothing lull. The gentle wind sways the dormant grasses, distant dove calls echo softly across the plains, and the low, contented hum of insects fades into a steady, rhythmic drone. The matriarch closes her eyes for brief, restorative moments, her long, dark eyelashes framing a face softened by time. There is no need for vigilance here, for the collective awareness of the herd forms an unbreakable shield of calm. Younger members lean gently against her massive flank, resting their weight as their breathing slows in perfect synchrony with hers. This shared stillness is a profound evolutionary anchor, a peaceful pause that reinforces kinship bonds and lowers the collective heart rate of the group. Bathed in golden light, they stand together like ancient pillars of the savannah, cradled by the profound, quiet safety of the waning day. As the amber beams soften into violet dusk, the long shadows of the mature acacias stretch entirely across the glade. The matriarch opens her dark, luminous eyes, letting out a low, vibrating snort that ripples through the still air. It is a familiar, timeless signal, a quiet prompt understood by every member of the herd. With measured deliberation, she lifts her heavy hoof and sets the course, turning her powerful frame away from the open plains and deeper into the safety of the denser woodland. The younger giraffes immediately align their postures with hers, stepping in behind her broad silhouette. They navigate the winding, worn animal paths together, surrounded by the rustling of dry leaves and the soft crunching of twigs beneath steady strides. In this mature forest, the twisted branches overhead form a natural canopy that traps the day's residual heat and offers a secure refuge from nocturnal predators. The matriarch selects a sheltered pocket among the thickest trunks, pausing frequently to allow the younger animals to catch up and settle into close proximity. Her leadership is absolute yet effortless, rooted in decades of memory regarding where the wind breaks and where the earth stays warmest. As twilight settles over the savanna, the ambient sounds shift once more. The gentle wind rustles through the thorn branches, and the distant dove calls fade into a profound, soothing quiet. The herd gathers tightly around her, resting safely in the profound stillness of the winter evening, cradled by the steady presence of their enduring guide. Across the vast winter savanna, the sun slips slowly beneath the western horizon, drawing a brilliant curtain of amber and deep violet across the cooling sky. This final descent of daylight brings a profound stillness to the open plains. Winter's dry air carries a crisp edge, turning each breath into a faint, fleeting mist as shadows lengthen and soften over the frost-touched grasses. Against this deepening canvas of indigo twilight stands the aging matriarch. Her towering silhouette, etched with the map of a lifetime's survival, frames the quiet horizon. Decades of navigating these ancestral ranges have forged an intimate, unbreakable bond between her and the ecosystem. Her patched coat, rich with dark chestnut and warm cream, absorbs the fading amber glow, blending seamlessly into the changing hues of the landscape. As the temperature drops, thermodynamic adaptations take effect across the herd. Blood vessels near the surface of her patterned skin subtly constrict, conserving core warmth while she stands completely still. The ambient sounds of the day drift away, replaced by the gentle rustle of dry grass whispering in the fading wind, and the soft, rhythmic shuffling of heavy hooves finding their evening footing. Farther out across the plains, nocturnal insects begin their low, steady hum, while distant nightbirds call out in descending, melodic tones. Every element of the environment speaks of transition, a seamless, unhurried shift from the crisp brightness of the winter afternoon into the quiet embrace of the coming night. Here, beneath the widening expanse of the evening sky, time seems to slow down entirely, cradled in the deep, untroubled peace of the wilderness. Without a sound or a signal, the loose scattering of the herd begins to drift inward. Younger females, along with last year's growing calves, navigate the darkening landscape to close the distance. They are drawn by a deep, evolutionary instinct for social stability, seeking the quiet reassurance of the matriarch's immense, steady frame. Her decades of memory, retaining the exact locations of winter water sources, drought-resistant browse, and safe resting grounds, form an invisible anchor for the entire group. As they converge, the giraffes position themselves in a protective, comforting semicircle around the elder female. This deliberate proximity serves multiple purposes in the bitter winter air. By standing shoulder to shoulder, they share body heat, minimizing the chill of the descending temperature. Yet the architecture of this gathering runs deeper than mere thermoregulation. It is a living social hierarchy, reaffirmed through stillness rather than dominance. The matriarch acknowledges their approach with a slow, gentle tilt of her heavy head. Deep within her chest, a resonance begins, a soft, infrasonic hum vibrating below the threshold of human hearing. This low-frequency communication travels through the ground and the air alike, carrying a calming message of security to the surrounding family members. In response, a yearling shifts closer, pressing its velvety shoulder near the matriarch's long foreleg. One by one, the other animals settle into their resting postures, folding their slender legs beneath them or remaining upright in a state of relaxed vigilance. With the matriarch firmly at the center, the collective nervous system of the herd slows in unison. The quiet gravity of her presence absorbs the lingering tensions of the day, leaving only a profound communal calm that blankets the winter plains. In this gathering dusk, communication requires no hurried gestures. The air itself seems to thicken with quiet intent, carrying messages written in posture and touch. A young female lowers her chin, leaning her slender neck forward to rest gently against the flank of an older companion. This slow, deliberate contact, known scientifically as necking, though devoid of any sparring energy, is a fundamental pillar of giraffe socialization. It is a tactile reassurance, an ancient greeting that lowers heart rates and reinforces the intricate kinship ties binding the matriarch's lineage together. Even the blinking of dark, long-lashed eyes carries a rhythm of profound ease. As the shadows lengthen, the giraffes exchange subtle cues through micro-movements of ears and tails, effortlessly reading the collective mood of the herd. Beneath these visible behaviors, another layer of connection unfolds. The low-frequency hums initiated by the matriarch continue to ripple through the gathering, vibrating at frequencies below 20 hertz. These infrasonic vocalizations travel across the open soil, felt as much as heard through sensitive pads in their hooves, maintaining an unbroken acoustic tether among the scattered forms. There is no rush, no competition for space. Each animal adjusts its stance with microscopic precision, aligning its breathing with the slow, rhythmic cadence of the elder. The dry savanna grass whispers against their lower legs as heads tilt in unison toward the darkening horizon. Through these whispered frequencies and gentle, sweeping touches, the herd becomes a single, breathing organism. They honor the passing of the sun not in solitude, but in a shared, harmonious stillness that anchors them securely against the approaching winter night. As the last bruised ribbons of amber dissolve from the western sky, a crisp winter breeze sweeps unhindered across the open plains. This nocturnal wind carries the unmistakable chill of the dry season, dropping ambient temperatures rapidly as the earth radiates its day's warmth back into the atmosphere. The sudden drop in temperature triggers a natural physiological adaptation in the herd. Their dense, specialized coats, rabbited with thick hair fibers to insulate against the winter cold, ripple softly under the touch of the wind. Around them, the savanna environment undergoes its nightly transformation. The dry acacia leaves cling tenaciously to thorny branches, rustling with a papery, dry whisper as the gusts move through the canopy. Beneath these ancient trees, the sound blends with the gentle, rhythmic shuffling of heavy hooves adjusting against the cooling soil. Every footstep stirs the dust, releasing the rich, earthy scent of sun-baked earth now rapidly chilling under the gathering stars. Distant sounds shift as well. The daytime calls fade entirely, replaced by the rising, low hum of nocturnal insects beginning their evening chorus, punctuated by the distant, haunting calls of night birds wheeling across the indigo expanse. The giraffes stand entirely still against this backdrop of shifting sound and temperature. The falling air pressure and plummeting thermometer act as biological cues, signaling their systems to slow down even further. Their large, dark eyes reflect the vast, darkening sky, capturing the serene emptiness of the plains as the winter night settles in to claim the land. Beneath the canopy of stars now pricking the velvet expanse of the winter night, the aging matriarch embodies a master class in anatomical efficiency and endurance. To prepare for the long hours of watchfulness ahead, she settles her massive frame into a posture of profound, deliberate stillness. Her sturdy, pillar-like legs plant firmly into the cooling soil, wide set to create a stable, unshakable base that requires minimal muscular exertion to maintain. Within her long limbs, a specialized locking mechanism within the tendons and ligaments engages quietly, allowing her joints to brace against gravity with remarkable anatomical economy. This natural adaptation permits the towering herbivore to rest while remaining fully upright, a critical survival strategy on the open savanna, where danger can materialize from the shadows at any moment. Even her heavy neck, with its intricate network of valves and elastic blood vessels designed to regulate blood pressure against the vertical expanse of her body, curves into a gentle, restful arch. Around her, the younger members of the herd mirror this transition, anchoring themselves to the earth in a silent pact of mutual protection. The soft shuffling of hooves ceases entirely as each animal locks its frame into place, blending seamlessly with the dark, jagged silhouettes of the surrounding acacias. Only the slow, rhythmic rise and fall of their flanks betrays the life within the statuesque forms. As the winter chill deepens, wrapping the plains in a blanket of absolute serenity, the giraffe stands as a timeless monument of grace and resilience, perfectly attuned to the quiet rhythms of the earth. High above the sleeping savanna, the final, bruised traces of amber twilight dissolve utterly into the deep indigo expanse of night. The horizon vanishes, blending the edge of the earth seamlessly with a vast, glittering ceiling of stars. In this profound darkness, the towering silhouettes of the giraffe herd soften, their familiar outlines melting gracefully into the shadows of the surrounding wilderness. The winter breeze dies down completely, leaving behind a profound, heavy stillness that settles over the open plains like a warm, quilted blanket. Temperatures continue their gentle descent, but the air remains motionless, holding the quiet breath of the earth. In the distance, the low, steady hum of nocturnal insects provides a soft, hypnotic rhythm, accompanied occasionally by the distant, haunting call of a nightbird drifting across the frost-kissed grasses. Within the herd, absolute quiet prevails. The towering statues remain locked in their positions of effortless, standing rest, conserving their energy through the long hours of darkness. The aging matriarch stands unwavering at their center, her immense form a silent anchor of experience and enduring strength. Every breath is deep and measured, matching the slow, pulsing rhythm of the ecosystem around her. There is no movement, no sound save for the subtle rustle of dry grass shifting under the weight of the cooling night. The wilderness rests, wrapped in the timeless, restorative peace of the winter dark. The crisp winter night air brushes softly against the high canopy of the open plains, carrying the faint, rhythmic rustling of dry grass swaying beneath a blanket of frost. Through this silvered expanse, the elderly matriarch takes slow, deliberate steps. Her movements are measured and deliberate, guided by an ancient, quiet instinct embedded deep within her nervous system. For decades, her long stride has spanned thousands of miles of savanna, conserving energy through an efficient, swaying pace that minimizes exertion. Now, that immense physical journey naturally draws to its gentle close. Gently, she separates herself from the resting herd. There is no alarm in this departure, only a profound and peaceful acceptance as she moves away from the collective warmth of the group. Her large, dark eyes reflect the brilliant tapestry of southern constellations overhead. With each unhurried footfall, her heavy frame yields to the profound gravity that has shaped her life. Ahead of her stands a mature umbrella acacia, its broad, flat crown silhouetted against the starlit sky. The tree offers a natural shelter, a secluded grove where the biting winter breeze softens into a quiet whisper. Seeking this embrace of enclosure and calm, she draws closer to the gnarled trunk. The cooling earth beneath the branches promises a deep, restorative stillness. Here, sheltered by ancient wood and shadowed by timeless branches, she prepares to settle her magnificent height, moving in absolute harmony with the eternal rhythms of the wild landscape. With careful and deliberate coordination, the aging giant begins the complex physiological descent that few humans ever witness. For an animal standing nearly 18 feet tall, lying down is an act of immense vulnerability, requiring a precise unfolding of biomechanics. Her powerful limbs, built with specialized locking tendons that ordinarily grant her the ability to sleep safely while standing, now begin to bend. First, her forelegs fold gracefully beneath her massive chest, followed by the careful tucking of her hind legs. Easing down toward the frosted earth, she shifts her weight with slow, practiced equilibrium. The cool ground receives her heavy frame without resistance. Once settled, she performs a movement of signature elegance, curling her long, graceful neck backward in a smooth arc to rest her head gently over her flank. This classic resting posture wraps her form into a tight, compact crescent, conserving vital thermal energy against the midnight chill of the winter savanna. For a giraffe, this posture is a rare surrender to absolute stillness, a profound departure from a lifetime of perpetual vigilance. In this sheltered pocket beneath the acacia, her muscular tension finally dissolves. The rhythmic thrum of her large heart slows to a steady, peaceful cadence. Surrounded by the quiet rustle of dry grass and the distant, cooling breeze, her magnificent height is mirrored in the quiet earth below, cradled in a silence that feels both ancient and complete. A short distance away, bathed in the pale, silvery glow of the winter starlight, the remainder of the herd stands motionless. In the open wilderness, giraffes rarely sleep lying down simultaneously, relying on communal awareness and staggered rest to survive. Yet tonight, a profound and instinctive shift ripples through the tower. Guided by an unspoken, ancient awareness, they do not wander off to forage among the distant thorn bushes, nor do they lie down to rest themselves. Instead, they form a loose, protective semicircle around the sheltered acacia grove. Their exceptionally long, dark silhouettes are etched sharply against the glittering dome of the southern constellations. In the stillness, their oversized, prehensile ears swivel delicately, catching the whispers of the cold winter breeze and the distant, echoing call of a hyena miles away. They maintain a silent, unwavering vigil. This cooperative behavior transcends mere survival. It is a quiet, enduring tribute to the matriarch who has guided them through countless droughts, green seasons, and migratory paths. Among giraffes, social bonds are deeply woven through years of shared kinship, often led by the oldest, most experienced females whose spatial memory dictates the herd's survival. As the midnight hours deepen, the standing guardians remain entirely focused inward toward the grove. Their absolute stillness honors the great height that is now peacefully cradled by the earth. In this profound quiet, the boundary between the individual and the collective blurs, held together by the steady, invisible threads of loyalty and deep-rooted community beneath the infinite, star-studded African sky. High above the sleeping plains, the celestial vault wheels in slow, majestic arcs. The bright diamond dust of the Milky Way spills across the heavens, a luminous river of stars, while the tilted cross of the Southern Cross hangs like a gentle beacon in the cool, clear winter air. Its silvery light washes softly over the canopy of the umbrella acacias, bathing the quiet grove in a serene, pale luminescence. Within this tranquil sanctuary, the elder giraffe's breathing shifts into a deeper, more measured rhythm. Her respiration becomes slower and shallower, perfectly synchronized with the soft, whispering sigh of the winter wind as it slips through the dry, frost-tipped grass. Each breath takes a little longer to rise, drawing inward with the quiet ease of an animal letting go of a long day's journey. Her massive heart, which for decades has pumped life up the towering column of her neck against immense hydraulic pressure, now beats with a calming, steady cadence. It is a biological slowing down, an exquisite energy conservation as every muscle finally releases its tension into the embracing earth. In her final moments, there is no struggle, only a profound physiological settling. Her dark, liquid eyes reflect the endless expanse of the southern constellations overhead, mirroring the vast, unchanging peace of the wilderness. The distant, rolling call of a hyena floats across the miles, swallowed harmlessly by the night, while a solitary owl hoots softly from a nearby kopje. The cold air brushes her velvety muzzle, a gentle parting touch from the world she has loved and navigated for so many years. Under the watchful eyes of the stars and the silent, steadfast herd, the great life slowly and peacefully ebbs away into the stillness of the savanna. The steady hydraulic rhythm that has sustained 19 feet of height for a quarter of a century now shifts. For 25 years, that powerful heart has worked tirelessly, generating extraordinary arterial pressure to push oxygenated blood all the way up the elongated cervical spine to the brain. Now, that magnificent biological engine begins to taper its pace. Each beat softer and further apart than the last, conserving the final reserves of metabolic energy in a supreme act of physiological grace. There is no struggle in the shelter of the acacia grove, only the profound, natural release of a life well lived. The final pulse slows through the great vessels, a gentle fading tide within the vast architecture of bones and sinew. With one last, imperceptible sigh, the breath ceases and the heart rests. The ancient hydraulic journey is complete. The towering silhouette remains, settled deeply into the cool, frosted earth. Without a single motion, the matriarch transforms from a moving traveler of the plains into an enduring part of the landscape. Her long legs, which once strode across 1,000 horizons, are now folded in absolute repose. The dark, luminous eyes no longer track the constellations, but the peace of the midnight sky settles over her form like a blanket. Around her, the air is still. The dry grass whispers a final, delicate lullaby in the cold winter draft. The silence that follows is not empty, but heavy with the quiet dignity of a wild existence returning to its source. The great height that once touched the acacia canopy now rests completely horizontal, cradled safely within the wild heart of the savanna, cradled by the very earth that gave her life. As the deep indigo of the winter night yields to a pale, pearlescent dawn, the vast savanna breathes a collective, quiet sigh. The world does not stop. Instead, it turns softly on the axis of renewal. In the cool air of early morning, nature's most efficient caretakers arrive to fulfill their ancient role in the web of life. Jackals and vultures move with respectful, silent purpose, initiating a natural process of dispersal that ensures nothing is ever truly wasted in this interconnected ecosystem. Within the soil directly beneath the sprawling canopy of the acacia grove, a complex subterranean network stirs. As the monumental form of the matriarch slowly integrates with the earth over the coming seasons, her stored nutrients, calcium, phosphorus, and nitrogen gathered from thousands of miles of wandering, return to the ground. Microscopic decomposers, fungi, and earthworms break down the organic matter, transforming it into rich, fertile loam. Right at the edge of the root zone, the deep taproot of the mature umbrella acacia drinks in this newly enriched moisture. These very nutrients will soon travel upward through the trunk, manifesting next spring as tender, protein-rich leaves unfurling at the tree's crown. In this timeless exchange, the life of the individual becomes the foundation for the whole. The towering height that once grazed the highest branches now nourishes the very trees that sheltered her final rest. And as the golden sun crests the horizon, painting the frosted plains in warm amber light, the everlasting rhythm of the African wilderness continues, quiet and unbroken,